Chapter 2211, Idiot Can Alchemy? Chapter 2211, Idiot Can Alchemy? Everything was a little too fast. No one would have thought that the disciple of Powder Pavilion would make a move. Xiao Dai did not. Gui Qingshan did not either. However, Long Fei thought of it, not in his head, but in his subconscious, so that he had stumbled into it. A cold light flashed from the rusted sword in the sky. Disciple of Powder Pavilion threw a palm attack. Bam! Long Fei blocked horizontally with his sword. His arm went numb as he continuously retreated. The Pill Pavilion felt pain on their faces as their palm broke. Fresh blood gushed out, and their bodies retreated a few steps back, staring at Long Fei in shock. As soon as he finished, he attacked again. This time, the palm attack was even more ferocious than the previous one, and the power was multiplied by several times. He is the disciple of Powder Pavilion. Being injured by a Long Fei with such an esteemed identity, he felt extremely displeased in his heart. If he didn't get this round back, would he still have the face to mess around in the future? Long Fei was shocked. It could be said that his reaction just now was a bit unexpected. It was completely a subconscious reaction. He had blocked the sword horizontally, but his arm was in extreme pain, as if it was about to break. One had to know that his current cultivation was only at the first grade refining body. In the words of the system, he was still level 1, and disciple of Powder Pavilion's cultivation was already at the 8th grade of refining body. His cultivation was far above him. Being able to block one blow and deal with it with injuries was already very unbelievable. Another move. Long Fei could not resist it, but he was not afraid either. He forcefully shook his arm, endured the pain, and shouted loudly, "Come! Don't submit, just do it." Although his memories had disappeared, deep in his bones, Long Fei was still that arrogant and rampant person who did not cower even when he was about to die. "You're courting death." Disciple of Powder Pavilion roared over. Xiao Dai cried out in alarm. "Along!" Gui Qingshan was negligent and did not react in time to the first move, but he was careless and did not react in time. The second move was extremely fast, and he did not wait for Long Fei to meet it head-on as his body slightly moved. Boom! Disciple of Powder Pavilion struck his palm against Gui Qingshan's chest. Gui Qingshan did not move. Disciple of Powder Pavilion was knocked back consecutively. His blood was boiling under his chest, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone was shocked. In the Xianyu sect, Gui Qingshan had almost never made a move before. That power just now, this person's cultivation wasn't low. Not low at all. To be able to fight against the powerhouse on the Elixir S ranking, his cultivation was not low at all. Long Fei could not bear to see women being wronged, so he shouted, "Isn't it just a detoxification panacea? Let me think of a way." Finished. Everyone stared at him, especially the few disciples of the Pill Pavilion. They looked at Long Fei as if he was a rare animal. Xiao Dai pulled Long Fei and whispered, "Along, stop messing around." "Puchi, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Where did this fool come from? Isn't it just a detoxification panacea? Do you know what a detoxification panacea is? Do you know how difficult it is to refine a detoxification panacea? Is this person crazy? Does he know what a pill is? It's easy to say, but can you refine it? Pills were extremely rare in the Zhenwu continent. The detoxification panacea were also extremely difficult to refine. In the entire Xianyu sect, there were no more than 3 pill refiners who could refine detoxification panacea. The words Long Fei had just said sounded like the words of a fool who didn't know anything. "Xiao Dai, I'll go train." Long Fei was displeased. Just as he finished speaking, there was another wave of mocking laughter. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Do idiots even know alchemy? Wow, a fool can use alchemy. Even a mute would want to speak. Ha ha ha. A few of the disciple of Powder Pavilion laughed extremely hard. Longface stopped and stared at them, then said, "What if I can refine it?" Disciple of Powder Pavilion immediately said, "You can do anything you want, but what if you can't refine it?" Longface said, "Anything is fine." The disciple of Powder Pavilion laughed sinisterly and said, "You're the one who said that." Xiao Dai pulled Long Fei along, signaling him not to be rash. Gue Qingshan could not help but look at Long Fei and slightly shook his head. Refining detoxification panacea, even though the pill was only a Tier 1 pill, even a Tier 3 pill refiner would not dare to claim that it was easy to refine one. The success rate of pills in this world was too low. How could Long Fei, a first-grade refining body cultivator who did not understand alchemy, refine such a pill? Chapter 2212, Iron Cauldron Alchemy. Chapter 2212, Iron Cauldron Alchemy. Gue Qingshan did not hold any hope. It did not stop Long Fei either. No matter what, it was just a child's play. Along, don't mess around. You can't concoct a spirit pill. You don't even understand alchemy. Xiao Dai said anxiously. Long Fei ignored him and walked towards the kitchen. To the kitchen? Ha ha ha. He couldn't be thinking of going to the kitchen to cook a few dishes, right? Ha ha ha. Didn't he say he wanted alchemy? What are you doing in the kitchen? Idiot. He's just a complete idiot. I'm going to die from laughter. Everyone laughed out loud. Gue Qingshan urged and said, "Disperse. I will take care of the Cyanox's matter. I will not let him affect everyone's cultivation again." Disperse. Gue Qingshan. That brat just promised me that if you guys can't refine the detoxification panacea, then do whatever I say. You can't scatter right now. Disciple of Powder Pavilion had to get back at him. To be pushed back by Gue Qingshan. That was because his cultivation was not high enough. However, the wound on his palm was still burning painfully. If he didn't get it back, then his surname wouldn't be Lin. Gue Qingshan was slightly angered and said, "Why are you competing with a fool? Does he understand alchemy? What does his understanding of alchemy have to do with me? He said it. If he can't make it today, then he'll have to kneel down and kowtow to me, imitating a dog's bark." Disciple of Powder Pavilion laughed proudly. Xiao Dai became angry and said, "Why do you like to make people kneel and learn to bark like dogs? Did you become more of a dog in your previous life?" Disciple of Powder Pavilion glared at him fiercely. Seeing Gue Qingshan, he did not dare make another move. Lin Yu laughed. "It's him that said it. I'll be waiting here. If he can't concoct the pill, then you guys can just let me see." After saying that, he gave a few meaningful glances. Immediately, all the disciples started to cheer. "We're not leaving either. Anyways, this cow-weed is too annoying. I'll be staying here to enjoy the show today. I would like to see how a fool performs with alchemy." No one left. Gue Qingshan's eyes became anxious. Xiao Dai ran into the kitchen angrily. When he walked into the kitchen, he found Long Fei squatting in a corner with his hands behind his head. "How did you refine it? Where should I start with the first step? How should I refine it?" Long Fei thought hard. He felt that he could use alchemy, and it was very strong, but he just couldn't think of how to refine it. Seeing him like this caused Xiao Dai's heart to faintly ache. He immediately walked forward and squatted down. "Along, don't be like this. I know you are doing this for my own good, but you don't even understand alchemy." Long Fei blocked an attack for her. Then he would stand up for her. Xiao Dai was extremely grateful in his heart. However, the matter of alchemy wasn't something that could be completed just by talking about it. It wasn't even something that could be done by a pill master. So how could one refine medicinal pellets? Long Fei continued to hold his head and think, what do I want to do? How exactly do you want the alchemy? What should I do to create it? Ah! Long Fei's mind was in a frenzy as he hysterically roared out. He had always been thinking that this kind of power was also constantly impacting his sealed memories, but he didn't know why, but it seemed to be like the tip of a bull's eye. Long Fei acted as if he was possessed. Xiao Dai became even more worried. Along, calm down, don't think about it. Don't think about alchemy anymore. Don't think about that. With my father here, they wouldn't dare to hurt you. Along, Xiao Dai's voice sounded. Long Fei could not control his thoughts. Suddenly, a voice came from the memory. The world is the furnace, and naturally, the world is the fire. This voice was very familiar. Very familiar. Long Fei's body trembled. His eyes flashed with a trace of light, and he muttered, "This is the alchemy?" Then, Long Fei abruptly stood up and said, "Xiao Dai, light the fire." Huh! Xiao Dai was startled. Long Fei repeated once again, "Light the fire." Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei's sudden change in attitude and did not think too much about it. In his heart, Long Fei was just a person beaten silly by her. Heaven and earth as a furnace. I don't have the true qi right now, so I'm unable to wield such a strong power. If you don't have a pill furnace, use a pot instead. Long Fei muttered in his heart. Of course it's fire. The power of nature is fire. I can't control it either. Long Fei thought in his heart. He felt it. The voices that had just appeared in his mind, the methods of alchemy, were too brilliant, and he was completely unable to understand them. They were not something that an ordinary person could control. However, although it was very profound, the basic alchemy steps had been stated very clearly. Huff! Long Fei looked at the sky-rusted sword at his waist and muttered, "I'll have to fight it out. Hopefully, you will still bring me good luck." To be able to find 3 spirit grass in a row in such a barren valley, it just so happened to be the spirit grass that the detoxification panacea needed. He had some heaven-defying luck. Look, there's smoke coming out. Smoke from the chimney. Ha ha ha. Do you want to cook? I haven't had my breakfast yet, so I'll be eating here. Ha ha ha. He can't really be so stupid as to use his alchemy, right? Lin Yu sneered and said disdainfully, "You want to refine a detoxification panacea with just that fool? Humph. Forget about him having a spirit grass. Even if he had a spirit grass, it would still not be possible to refine it successfully. Get ready to kneel down and bark like a dog." Who said I didn't succeed? Who said I didn't succeed? One's heart could merge at will. Immersed, he had gained insights into the universe. Phew, suction, whoosh, inhale. In the span of a breath, Long Fei seemed to have sensed something, but also seemed to have sensed nothing at all. It was as if you were holding something in your hand, and when you opened it and looked at it, there was nothing there. Wonderful. Furthermore, as Long Fei's mind became more and more preoccupied with himself, this feeling became even more intense. That's not right. The heaven and earth shall become the furnace. I feel like the sky and the earth. Long Fei's heart was startled. Is this the world inside the heaven and earth? Humph! What a powerful aura. What a powerful cauldron. Then of course it's fire. Long Fei's heart calmed down once again. The metal pot turned red, and hot air crazily rushed over. Xiao Dai did not look anymore, and continued to speak in a low voice. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed with a bright light. I understand. In that instant, the 3 spirit grass as slightly moved as they injected their true qi into it. A single spirit grass that was exposed to the strong heat waves in the iron pot actually floated in midair. The spirit liquid was released. Next, he put in the second spirit grass. It was also floating in the air. The third spirit grass did not hurriedly put it down, but was waiting for the spirit liquid to be completely released from the first two. At the same time, he was also waiting, heaven, earth, the influx of natural power. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The energy of heaven and earth that Long Fei could feel right now was extremely thin, and it was the same for his natural energy. If not for the voice that rang in his head, he simply did not know what this energy was. Roar! A gentle voice rang out. Long Fei moved again. After putting the third spirit grass in, the spirit liquid was released crazily. The spirit liquid released by the first two spirit grass had completely enveloped the third one's holy source. The three types of holy source interweaved, converging and frantically fusing. They were like the training of a martial artist. It was attempting to break through the final bottleneck. Long Fei poured everything into his heart and body. Cold sweat poured down his forehead, and his whole body was drenched in sweat. He didn't feel anything at all. He had entered a very strange state of oblivion. This kind of feeling was as if he was the strongest alchemy master. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei's breathing became a little hurried. The true qi could not endure it. Right now, he was only at the first grade of refining body with a true qi value of 200 points. All of these points were injected into the spirit grass. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes darkened. At this moment, boom, the metal pot exploded, emitting a loud sound. A wave of flames immediately surged out. Long Fei's expression changed and cried out, "This is bad." At the critical moment, the metal pot exploded. "I'm afraid this pill." He heard a loud explosion in the kitchen, and the stench of burnt flesh permeated the air. A disciple of the pill pavilion laughed heartily. "The furnace has exploded. The furnace has exploded." That's not right. More accurately, it should be a huge mess. They don't even have any pill furnaces. Ha ha. Ha ha. The crowd burst into laughter again. The loud sound just now was clearly the explosion of a furnace. This also meant that his alchemy had failed. Lin Yu revealed a proud and cold smile. If you want to obtain alchemy from a fool, doesn't that mean that everyone in this world is an alchemy grandmaster? You overestimate yourself. Gue Qingshan quickly ran up and said loudly, "Xiao Dai." At any time, he would always be worried about Xiao Dai. Xiao Dai replied, "Father, I'm fine." In the kitchen, thick smoke billowed out. Xiao Dai could not help but cough continuously and ran out from the kitchen, his face pitch black, looking to be in a sorry state. Panting heavily, he shouted towards the kitchen, "Along, along, quickly come out." It blew up. Xiao Dai never thought it would be like this. Even if the pot was melted down, it would only crack. How could it explode? He couldn't figure it out. Long Fei stood blankly at the side of the stove, his heart deathly still. His alchemy had failed. This meant that if he failed the quest, his level would return to level 0. What made Long Fei even more sad was that he couldn't help Xiao Dai, nor could he save Qing Niu. Why? Long Fei clenched his fists. He had a firm grasp on everything that happened previously, but just a tiny bit of carelessness had caused the pill to fail. Even the pill furnace didn't succeed. Long Fei had not reached the level of the dragon coffin in the world of cultivation. More importantly, his true qi-s were far from enough. This was the direct reason. Furthermore, a small detoxification panacea could not support the sky. With such a great power, even if the detoxification panacea did not explode, it would not succeed. He looked at the exploded metal pot. Long Fei felt very bad in his heart. The people gathered outside, seeing Xiao Dai's jet-black face. They all laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. A fool still wants alchemy. Why didn't you go up into the sky, take a piss, and look at yourself? Do you think anyone can use alchemy? Alchemy requires talent. If you can use your alchemy, then I'm already a true martial emperor. Ha ha ha. Hearing everyone's ridicule, Long Fei's heart became even more unsatisfied. At this time, Lin Yu walked up and sneered. Idiot, are you pretending to be dead? It's fine if he doesn't come out. You said it just now. Since you lost, you can do whatever I want you to. But now that you're not coming out, you can let Xiao Dai replace you and sleep with me tonight. Xiao Dai was furious. Finished. Lin Yu loudly laughed again. It's fine to make Gui Qingshan kneel down and bark like a dog. Ha! He taunted her ruthlessly. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, his nails digging into the flesh of his palms, causing his anger to surge and expand. At this moment, as the thick smoke slowly dispersed, Long Fei could see that there was something viscous like black glue on the sides of the pot. These were all the spirit grass liquids that seemed to have burst from the frying pan. Long Fei moved his finger and lightly inhaled. Ding! True Qi value plus 50 points. Huh! Long Fei was shocked. This liquid can increase the value of the true Qi. Then, immediately, Long Fei did not care too much about it. He gathered all the black glue on the side of the pot and formed a round ball, which was the size of a sugar bean. It looked just like a pill. However, it was much smaller than an ordinary pill. However, Long Fei could guarantee that it was stronger than any detoxification panacea. When the heavens and the earth were the furnace, it was naturally the fire. Although it was not a success, it was because the pill itself could not withstand it. The moment the cauldron exploded, the spirit liquid gathered. It was actually a success. The alchemy that the dragon coffin's cultivation time had taught him was extremely profound. Those who were able to withstand the tempering of the heaven and earth powers would possess immense power even if they failed. Moreover, Long Fei gathered the black glue and glanced at the sky sword hanging from his waist. He muttered, "Is this also your credit?" The pot exploded, but the liquid did not evaporate. Was this luck? If this was luck, it would definitely be heaven-defying. Super heaven-defying. And then Long Fei walked out of the kitchen in large strides and shouted loudly, "Who the hell said I didn't finish refining it? Get ready to kneel down and bark like a dog. Thank you for your support." Chapter 22:14, Green Ox speaking. Chapter 22:14, Green Ox speaking. Long Fei walked out with large strides. The detoxification panacea, refining, had failed. To him, this was indeed a failure. However, even if he failed, even if the furnace exploded, even if the elixir he just concocted was left with only a little bit of dregs, this was still an unbelievable success for the people outside the house. His hair was disheveled, and his face was dark. The explosion just now had caused Long Fei's face to turn black, as if he had turned into charcoal. When he walked out, the crowd immediately burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Using alchemy, who the hell came up with this method? I'm dying of laughter. A fool is a fool. You big fool. Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and almost couldn't hold it in either. Seeing that everyone was laughing at Long Fei, she immediately shouted out, "What are you laughing at? Whoever laughs at me again, I'll show him." She promised to protect Long Fei. She would do what she said. Everyone shivered. Lin Yu walked forward and continued to laugh. "Idiot, where are the pills?" Xiao Dai took a step forward and blocked in front of Long Fei. "Pills? No, what's wrong? Your pill pavilion's disciples are extraordinary." The cauldron had just exploded. So how could the pill be successful? Not to mention, Xiao Dai was very clear that Long Fei did not even know alchemy, so how could he take out detoxification panaceas? Lin Yu sneered and said complacently, "You're right, our Pill Pavilion's disciples are truly extraordinary. What about it? At the very least, the disciples of our Pill Pavilion wouldn't be so stupid as to use a walk of alchemy." As soon as he finished, the crowd burst into laughter again. Xiao Dai's face became angry and shouted, "Lin Yu, we do not welcome you here. Please scram." "Scram? Humph." Lin Yu coldly snorted and said, "You heard the gambling match just now. If he doesn't have the detoxification panacea, he would have to kneel down and kowtow to me, learning to bark like a dog. Or else—" Lin Yu stared at Xiao Dai's chest and laughed sinisterly. "Why don't you accompany me tonight? You—" Xiao Dai was furious. Gui Qingshan's eyes darkened as well. Long Fei bypassed Xiao Dai and said, "What if I can take out a detoxification panacea? With just you? A useless fool? Do you think that's possible?" Lin Yu's face was filled with contempt and said, "Don't tell me you're treating this as a pill." "Ha ha ha." Long Fei said indifferently, "How about a bigger bet?" Lin Yu said, "You want to scare me?" Long Fei immediately asked, "Do you dare?" Lin Yu said, "Did you think I would be afraid of you? If I win, besides kneeling down and barking like a dog, I want her to accompany me for the night." His finger moved as he pointed at Xiao Dai. Xiao Dai's expression changed. Gui Qingshan immediately stepped forward and shouted, "Stop messing around." Long Fei said softly, and he thought to himself, "Is it very difficult?" Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and said, "Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore." Actually, Xiao Dai and Gui Qingshan had originally planned to let Long Fei go through the back door. However, with the seventh prince's incident, coupled with the fact that he offended the Pill Pavilion, he probably wouldn't be able to leave from the back door. Gui Qingshan rather admired Long Fei, who had all passed the examination. There was no excuse, right? Using one's strength to enter. Xiao Dai asked, "Along, what exactly happened to the pill?" Gui Qingshan also looked at Long Fei seriously. He didn't really believe that Long Fei could refine a pill, and furthermore, even the Cyan Bull had spoken, and he had even comprehended a crude cultivation method. Was this the effect of a single pill? It was simply impossible. Long Fei scratched his head and said, "I don't know either." He really didn't know. The voice in his mind was the voice of the system. He did not even know what it was, but he knew that he could not let a second person know about it. Even someone close to him couldn't do it. Gui Qingshan walked in front of the ox stall and said, "Could it be that he ate some high-ranked spirit grass?" But his brows furrowed as he muttered to himself. Even divine-ranked spirit grass would not let an ox speak. They even comprehended a cultivation technique. It was too strange. Xiao Dai looked at the water buffalo and said, "Dainyu, do you know what's going on?" He also shook his head and said, "I don't know either. I felt that there was an extremely huge power in my body, and when I released this power from my entire body, I immediately let out a furious roar. I never thought that I would actually be able to speak in the human tongue." All of this came from Long Fei's thin pellet. He knew it better than anyone. However, he couldn't tell what kind of pill it was and why it contained such a powerful energy. It could be said, Long Fei gave him a second life. Long Fei did not say anything. Even if Xiao Dai asked him, he wouldn't say it. Xiao Dai muttered, "Then that's strange." "Forget it. Anyways, your injuries have recovered, and you can speak again." "That's great, hee. Xiao Dai was a happy person. She was too lazy to think too much about matters that troubled her. However, she did not think about the effects of Long Fei's pill. He also didn't think that Long Fei was capable of alchemy. A Pill Pavilion. What did you say? Did the ox speak? Yi Changfeng's eyes widened as he stared at Lin Yu, who was wrapped in bandages on the stretcher. Lin Yu said anxiously, I saw it with my own eyes. Yi Changfeng said, You mean by taking the nose-pooping pellet? Lin Yu said, I'm sure it's not the effect of that pill, but that the green ox ate something else. Forget about livestock. Even the demon beast deep in the mountains would not be able to speak. Yi Changfeng's eyes darkened slightly as he thought about what happened on the mountain road a few days ago. He realized that the green ox could actually even send a powerhouse on the elixir-s ranking flying. That green ox. Yi Changfeng pondered for a moment, then said slightly, Could it be that the calf that I brought back from the wilderness is a divine beast? It hasn't exploded for more than 10 years, and it just so happens that it has today? A voice whispered. However, Lin Yu said, Master, Gui Qingshan is too arrogant, and that idiot, the injuries on my body were all sustained by him, and I. With Eggy's body shattered, he wondered if she could still be human. Yi Changfeng coldly snorted and said, You can't even deal with a fool, and you still have the nerve to call me that? Humph! Take them down. Yi Changfeng gave the order. Lin Yu didn't even have the chance to speak before he was immediately carried away. At this time, a man in his 40s walked out of the room. He was dressed in scholarly robes as he said indifferently, The 7th prince is infuriated at the palace. The empress is very unhappy. I heard that powerhouse golden ring has already been sent out. Grand Elder, Gui Qingshan has to be taught a good lesson, and it would be best if they could be handed over to the 7th prince. Yi Changfeng said in a faint voice, Gui Qingshan's identity is a little special. He even has a sect master's order on him, and his cultivation has never been completely exposed. He wants to make a move against him. The man continued, If you can't make a move against Gui Qingshan, you can make a move against his daughter and the fool he brought back. It's almost time for the sect selection. It's normal for a few people to die or disappear during the selection process. Yi Changfeng laughed complacently. Didn't 7th Prince fall for Xiao Dai? Just nice. Give it to him to extinguish the fire. Gui Qingshan had been hiding his strength the entire time, and he was also very low-key. His only weakness was Xiao Dai. However, no matter how strong Gui Qingshan was, he didn't seem to want to teach him. Long Fei waved his hand. Forget it. Along. It's time for breakfast. Xiao Dai shouted from the hillside. Long Fei replied, Yes. He then climbed onto the back of the water buffalo and said, Let's go home to eat. Daniu, in the future, don't speak any human language. Long Fei reminded her, I understand. Although he was an ox, he was no ordinary ox. Before, he couldn't speak human language, but he could understand it. He knew that the human heart was sinister. In this man-eating world, the slightest carelessness would lead to eternal damnation. Along, there are still 3 days until the Xian Yu Sex Assessment Day. I have decided to pass this Xian Yu treasure to you. Xiao Dai said very seriously. As she spoke, she looked at Gui Qingshan from the corner of her eyes. Gui Qingshan drank his porridge without the slightest intention to reply. Long Fei laughed. My talent is dull. I think I can't learn the Xian Yu treasure, but I think we should forget about it. I won't waste your time cultivating. Xiao Dai pouted and said, Someone is unwilling to teach you. I will teach you. Don't worry. I will definitely help you break through to the 3rd grade of refining body within 3 days. Humph! Xiao Dai looked at Gui Qingshan angrily. Gui Qingshan was still immersed in eating. Xiao Dai became even angrier and said, Daddy, can't you just help along? Gui Qingshan raised his eyes to look at Long Fei and said, Earlier he said that his talent was dull. Since his talent was stupid, then what is there to teach? After finishing the remaining porridge in the bowl, he wiped the corner of his mouth and walked to the door to light up a dry smoke. Xiao Dai stomped his feet in anger and said, "Along! Stop eating, let's go train." "Humph! Old man, get yourself some lunch. I need to hurry up and train. I don't have time to cook for you." Xiao Dai did not wait for Long Fei to finish eating before he dragged him outside. Gui Qingshan exhaled the smoke, but he did not stop them. It wasn't that he didn't want to teach her, but just like Long Fei had said, his talent was really dull, or maybe even worse. These few days, he had watched Xiao Dai teaching before. His teaching was not bad, but no matter how Long Fei trained, he was wrong. He didn't know what it meant by cultivating. This wasn't because of a lack of talent. This was a bit of a waste. Seeing the two of them walk far away, Gui Qingshan glanced in the direction of the ox pen and said, "Qingyo, protect them." The Cyan bull chased after him with large strides. Xianyu treasure. He was created by the first generation of ancestors of the Xianyu sect. No matter if you are the sect master or the disciples, we all start with the Xianyu treasure. Chapter 22:18, Impact. Chapter 22:18, Impact Ding. When Long Fei picked up the Xianyu treasure, a system announcement suddenly sounded out in his mind. Releasing cultivation Xianyu treasure? So this is how I'm going to train. Long Fei immediately said, "Cultivate," as soon as Long Fei finished his sentence. And then the Xianyu treasure in his hands suddenly disappeared, and the system beeped. Ding! The Xianyu treasure has been successfully cultivated. Skill path, Xianyu treasure grade. Basic category, base consumption, none description. Level increase requires 500 experience to exchange for or to cultivate one zone. What do you mean? Xianyu treasure can be upgraded? Long Fei's heart trembled. Even though he had trained in Xianyu treasure, he was still at the elementary level, only at the beginner level. To obtain strength from the Xianyu treasure, the system gave two methods. First, using experience to exchange for it. After all, the higher the skill level, the stronger the strength. Second, train on your own. Exchanging for one level with 500 experience was still a little high for Long Fei. After all, he needed an experience leveling up right now, and experience was way too important to him. Long Fei thought, cultivate by yourself. Ding! System notification. Breakthrough after enduring the waterfall for an hour. Long Fei raised his head to look at the 100-meter-tall waterfall. His shoulder was probably about to break from the pressure. Long Fei clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. I will train. If he was unwilling to give up on experience, then he could only let his own body endure the pain. Walking to the bottom of the waterfall, Long Fei dove inside head first. Walala, walala. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A few minutes later, Long Fei shot forward like an arrow. His shoulders were flushed red, and he was panting heavily. The bones on his shoulders looked like they were about to fall apart. It was very uncomfortable. Long Fei clenched his fists again. Once more under the waterfall, he took a horse stance and put his hands on his thighs. Boom! Boom! A series of deafening explosions rang out. 10 minutes later, Long Fei was forced out again. His back was flushed red, and his spine was bent to the point of bending. I refuse to accept this. Again. Long Fei rushed in again and again. Defeat after defeat. He refused to submit. Am I going too far? It's all because of me that he became a fool. I said I was responsible for him. In the forest, Xiao Dai's anger slowly subsided. In truth, he was not angry at Long Fei either. She was angry that she could not teach Long Fei. If Long Fei was unable to break through to the third rank of body refinement within 3 days, he wouldn't even have the qualifications to take the examination. This way, Long Fei would be chased out of Xianyu's sect. She could not bear to let Long Fei leave by himself. "I'll teach him when I get back." And then Xiao Dai turned around and walked towards the waterfall again. At this moment, a few disciples walked out from the forest. I didn't expect there to be such a pretty lady in this desolate mountain range. "Young Master Zhou, you like it?" "Ha ha ha." "Catch him. This is Xian Sect's territory. Could she be someone from there?" "Definitely not. Look at the clothes she's wearing. It's not from the Xian sect. She's probably also here to participate in the assessment like us." Immediately, the 3 young boys immediately blocked Xiao Dai's path. Xiao Dai frowned and asked, "Who are you and what do you want to do?" Zhou Tian walked over and waved the fan in his hand in a romantic manner and said, "Miss, I am the young master of the Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. I came to the Xian Yu sect to take the exam. Why don't we do it together?" Xiao Dai coldly snorted, "Get out of the way." "Yo, your temper is a little hot. I like it." He kept his fan and said, "Don't worry. As long as you follow me, I promise I will let you enter the Xian Yu sect. The Xian Yu sect must give face to the Zhou family. The Zhou clan of the Southern County Estate is a great clan." Several people said. Xiao Dai said again, "Say it again. Move away a little. Otherwise don't blame me for being rude." "Oh." The corner of Zhou Tian's mouth curled up, revealing a look of disdain. "I'd like to see how impolite you can be." Zhang Xian's eyes twitched. The 3 followers immediately surrounded him. Xiao Dai was not a pushover. He took out his sword and attacked with it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk 3 sword flowers directly repelled the 3 attendants. And Xiao Dai said, "I don't want to hurt anyone. Get lost and get lost. You have some strength. However, your father will definitely eat you today." The heaven-revolving fan moved, taking a step forward. His speed was extremely fast. Xiao Dai frowned, but he was not afraid. One side of the move blocked Zhou Tian's move, but at this moment, the corners of Zhou Tian's mouth curled up slightly as he revealed a sneer. A white smoke suddenly shot out from his folding fan. Smoke. Xiao Dai retreated and immediately covered his nose. Although he reacted in time, he still inhaled quite a bit. His body lightened up slightly, and he staggered a few steps. Zhou Tian laughed complacently. He had never failed in this trick before. He said, "Be obedient. Don't worry. I will make you feel good." "Ha ha. You're courting death." Xiao Dai's sword technique changed. While Zhou Tian was in the midst of being overjoyed, he stabbed out with his sword. Zhou Tian's face changed. There was not a woman like Xiao Dai. Under such circumstances, she did not run, and instead suddenly counterattacked. He was being too restrained. The blade flew right past his face. There was a cut on his face. This was also because Xiao Dai's center of gravity was unstable. Otherwise, Zhou Tian would have been able to see the king of hell with this strike. Plop! Xiao Dai fell to the ground, his vision blurred. Zhou Tian wiped the blood off his face. With anger in his eyes, he shouted, "Bitch, today I will definitely kill you." "Catch her!" Zhou Tian raged. The 3 followers immediately charged forward. Xiao Dai supported himself with his sword and quickly ran towards the direction of the waterfall. Ah, 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 ah. Beneath the waterfall, Long Fei's body was trembling. His spine was bent under the pressure, and he was feeling incomparable discomfort. Long Fei endured. He tried his best to hold it in. As long as he could endure it, he would be able to break through the Xianyu treasure. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei gasped for breath heavily. Just a bit more, just a bit more. Suddenly, A shout came from the forest. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. Xiao Dai's voice. He could not hear it clearly because of the waterfall, but he was sure that it was Xiao Dai calling for help. Long Fei did not continue. He took the sky sword and rushed out of the waterfall. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 22:19. Explosives. Chapter 22:19. Explosives. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the first stage of Xianyu Treasure. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward, level +1. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Escalate Body 2 stage, level 2. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special leveling reward. Random draw. The system beep seemed to have gone mad all of a sudden, as it sounded out crazily. Long Fei was completely shocked. At the same time, he felt it was strange. I only held on for 40 minutes. I was just 10 minutes away from breaking through. How did I break through? And there's even a reward for skill breakthroughs. There's also a reward for leveling up. Very strange. Long Fei looked at the sky-rusted sword in his hand and muttered, could it be that it has another ability? What exactly is the attribute of this sword? He brought along this sky sword when he found it in the barren valley. Right now, he had suddenly made a breakthrough and even received a large amount of rewards because of Long Fei's sudden possession of the sky sword. Are these coincidences? Long Fei was also unable to explain it, but the feeling the sky sword gave him was that it was not simple at all. At this moment, he didn't have time to think about it. He rushed to the shore. At this time, the water buffalo also reacted and charged ashore with Long Fei. Humph! Bitch! Even if you scream your throat out today, no one will come to save you. Interlousy! If I don't ride you under my crotch today, then I won't be surnamed Zhou. Zhou Tian chased after him step by step. Xiao Dai's body swayed unsteadily, his eyes blurred, unable to determine the direction. Seeing that Zhou Tian and the others were about to catch up, Xiao Dai shouted loudly, along. Zhou Tian sneered, even if Ague comes today, it's useless. Someone, come. Hold her down for me. I will personally strip her of her clothes. A lustful look flashed across Zhou Tian's eyes. The three followers also grabbed Xiao Dai and pressed him to the ground. Zhou Tian raised his sleeves excitedly. Ha ha! Little girl, I'm coming. He pounced forward. At this moment, Zhou Tian suddenly stopped. His body trembled as he looked at Rusty Sword. His body trembled as he said, "Spare me! Spare me! Spare me!" The one holding the rusted sword was obviously Long Fei. Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and felt her tensed-up mind loosen. She did not know why, but although Long Fei's cultivation was not high, but seeing him in such a dangerous time, she felt an indescribable sense of security. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. Long Fei's eyes became anxious. Xiao Dai. At this moment, Zhou Tian's reaction was fast. He quickly retreated a few meters and immediately shouted, "Kill him!" A person from the Escalate Body 2 stage dares to be the hero and save the beauty? Who gave you the courage? Bastard, do you really want to disturb this father? Attack! The three lackeys reacted and took out their swords to slash at Long Fei. Qing Yo, who was beside him, slightly moved. Long Fei shouted, "I will handle it." The sky sword moved, blocking three of the attacks. One sword blocked, Long Fei retreated. With one step, he kicked out with his back. The other sword struck over. One sweep. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, 3 streams of blood shot out. 3 followers fell. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing. Zhou family minor Luo. Rewards, 100 experience points. Berserk God points, 1 point. Ding. Congratulations to player. Long Fei for killing Zhou family minor Luo. Rewards, 100 experience points. Berserk God points, 1 point. The system sounded out 3 times. Long Fei raised his gaze and locked onto Zhou Tian. Zhou Tian was secretly shocked. Long Fei's cultivation level was not high, but he was still. His battle experience was like that of a superpower house. The 3 attendants from before were also Escalate Body 2 stage. However, he had been instantly killed. Long Fei was also secretly shocked. It was as if he had 100 battles of experience. Zhou Tian took half a step back and said, I don't care who you are. If you know what's good for you, then scram. I am the young master of the Zhou Mansion's Zhou Mansion. If you don't want to die, then scram. The Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. Big family, but Long Fei had never heard of it before. To a person whose memories were blank. Even if he was from the Zhao dynasty, Long Fei would not take him seriously. Who the hell does lousy care about you? You dare to touch my woman? Die. Long Fei was extremely angry. The sky sword moved and thrusted the sword out. Zhou Tian's eyes turned sinister. You overconfident dog. Trash of the Escalate Body 2 stage. You think you can beat me? The folding fan moved. An illusion. A cold light flashed, and its speed was more than twice that of Long Fei. At this moment, the fan moved, and several small cold blades flew out. Long Fei was shocked. The sky sword moved out. It was also at this time. The water buffalo, who had been watching from the side, suddenly rushed out. Boom. Zhou Tian couldn't react at all. He didn't think that a water buffalo would be able to attack him. He was directly sent flying by the water buffalo. Bam! He hit a big tree, and his body bounced off. Puffed. He spat out a mouthful of blood. When he saw Long Fei holding onto his sword and walking over, he immediately said, Brat, I am the young master of the Zhou family. If you dare touch a single hair on my head, my father, my big brother will not forgive you, and the Xianyu sect will not forgive you. If you know what's good for you, you better kowtow and admit your mistake, not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei hacked down with his sword. Luo Li, you've been blabbering nonstop, right? F***CK. He cut Zhou Tian's head off. I don't care who you are. Even if the king dares to provoke me, I will still kill him. Long Fei's temper was exactly like this. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhou Tian for obtaining 500 experience and 1 arrogant god energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining first rank magic weapon bone fan. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a first rank body refinement pellet. Ha ha ha. Something dropped. Long Fei couldn't help but become excited. The bone fan in Tian Zhou's hand disappeared and appeared in Long Fei's system. However, Long Fei disliked this fan as soon as he saw it and said, I've exchanged. The bone fan disappeared. Ding. Exchange value plus 10 points. Damn, a magic weapon can actually only be exchanged for 10 exchange value? Aren't you being too stingy? Long Fei disdainfully said, then helped Xiao Dai up and said, It's not good to stay here for long. Great Water Ox, take Xiao Dai with you to leave first. I'll go and take care of the corpse. Half an hour later, Long Fei caught up with the water buffalo. He was elated. This system is really something. I didn't expect it to drop something after leveling up. Ha ha ha. Too powerful. Right. Long Fei saw that there were 2 free lottery draws in the system. Free lottery draw. Yes. Thank you for your support. Chapter 22-21. The Purpose of the Zhou Family. Chapter 22-21. The Purpose of the Zhou Family. Ding. The system sounded out again. System notification. You can only draw the lottery once a day. F*CK. Long Fei raised his middle finger and said disdainfully, "This is too darned." Very unhappy, he still wanted to draw the Golden Sage Warrior Warpat. In the beginning, he didn't know, but now that he had awakened more than 20 years of memories on Earth, he knew exactly what a Golden Sage Warrior was. If this guy appeared, it would sweep everything away. In his middle years. What? The young master of the Zhou family disappeared near the Xianyu sect? In the main hall of the inner court, Yi Changfeng frowned. More than 10 elders were standing on both sides of the hall. Table of contents. Inside the palace, a middle-aged man's face was filled with anger. Under his robes, a strong wind was blowing. This man's cultivation was extremely powerful, at least at the peak of the elixir realm. If Xianyu sect doesn't give me an explanation today, then don't blame my Zhou family for being impolite. Zhou Xiong said solemnly. The Zhou family's influence in the southern prefecture was enormous. The important thing was that the former head of the Zhou family, Zhou Yaozong, was a great general who commanded an army of 1 million soldiers. Just this point was enough to crush Xianyu sect. Yi Changfeng naturally understood and immediately said, "Brother Zhou, don't be angry. The matter has yet to be investigated properly." "Have you investigated thoroughly?" Do we still need to investigate? In the entire southern prefecture, who dares to touch a member of the Zhou family? It just so happens that they disappeared right in front of your Xianyu sect. It's definitely someone from your Xianyu sect. Yi Changfeng, if you don't give me a satisfactory answer to this matter, my Zhou family will definitely make your Xianyu sect suffer. Zhou Xiong shouted. It was also because of the Gua tribe that Zhou Tiankai wanted to enter the Xianyu sect. But he had even disappeared from Xianyu sect in less than a day. What was this called? This was a slap to the faces of the Zhou family members. If this matter was not handled well, then where would the prestige of the Zhou family lie? Disappeared now. To put it plainly, he was dead. Every one of the Zhou family's blood vein had a special mark on them. Once they disappeared, the Zhou family would immediately know. This was also why the Zhou family's response was so quick. Yi Changfeng's brows sank again. Just then, an elder from the law enforcement hall walked in and shook his head lightly at Yi Changfeng. "We didn't find anything." The law enforcement hall disciples searched everywhere, but they couldn't find any trace of him. Yi Changfeng, what exactly do you all want to do? Zhou Xiong stared at him and said, "Zhou Tian was watched by the general as he grew up and is his favorite little nephew. If something were to happen to him, forget about your Xianyu sect being still not Gua tribe. Even if you were Gua tribe being now, you would not be able to bear the anger of the general. The commander of a 1,000,000-strong army. Forget about a 1,000,000-strong army. Just Zhou Yaozong himself was an incomparably powerful Zhenwu realm powerhouse. Moreover, he cultivated the Zhao clan's emperor's qi as well. Even the Zhenwu realm powerhouse was not his match." Yi Changfeng said slightly, "Xianyu sect's terrain is strange and dangerous, and there are flying birds and fierce beasts everywhere. We are also very sad about what happened to young Master Zhou, but this does not mean that we, the Xianyu sect, are responsible for it. Brother Zhou, I know that you guys are in a rush. I promise you, I will do my best to find young Master Zhou. If I find out that it was my Xianyu sect's disciples, I will definitely not forgive them and bring his head here to apologize." He disappeared into the vicinity of the Xianyu sect. However, the Zhou family did not have any evidence proving that it was the Xianyu sect. Zhou Xiong bellowed, "Yi Changfeng, why should I believe you?" Yi Changfeng said. I vouch for it in my capacity as the great elder of the Pill Pavilion. Zhou Xiong sneered. Your identity as the great elder of the Pill Pavilion is nothing. Your guarantee is useful? Yi Changfeng's face darkened, looking somewhat unhappy. Zhou Xiong said, the person disappeared from your Xianyu sect. Your Xianyu sect has to go and look for him. In addition, I do not really trust your Xianyu sect. So my Zhou family will also send people to enter the Xianyu sect. What? Yi Changfeng glared at him. The faces of the elders in the hall also changed. Yi Changfeng asked, what do you mean by sending people into the Xianyu sect? Zhou Xiong said, this means that our Zhou family must enter the Xianyu sect to find young Master Zhou Tian. No way. Absolutely not. This is the Xianyu sect, not the Southern Prefecture. Yi Changfeng immediately said, heavily, if the Zhou family were allowed to move in, what would that amount to? Is Xianyu sect still Xianyu sect? This was undoubtedly slapping Xianyu sect in the face. Moreover, Yi Changfeng finally understood Zhou Xiong's goal was to enter the Xianyu sect. Zhou Tian? It was most likely a pretense. Zhou Xiong laughed coldly and said, Yi Changfeng, I am not asking for your permission. I am only informing you that tomorrow we will send people to stay in Xianyu sect. Either you hand over young Master Zhou Tian, or we'll come in and look for it ourselves. If you dare to stop them, we might not be able to mobilize the million-strong army, but the huge army of 100,000 will be stationed at the Southern Prefecture. No matter if the Xianyu sect agreed or not, they would still enter the Xianyu sect. And they had to enter. Finished. Zhou Xiong sneered before walking out of the hall. After he left, the hall became a mess. First Elder, this is too overbearing, isn't it? Why would his Zhou family enter our Xianyu sect? No, absolutely not. Our Xianyu sect is not under the jurisdiction of the officials. Now that the Zhou family is bullying us, how can we be bullied like this? Yes. Besides, it's hard to say if Zhou Tian disappeared in our Xianyu sect. I think the Zhou family wanted to take over our Xianyu sect's territory. The young master of the Zhou family has indeed come to the Xianyu sect. I have sent people to investigate this matter. The Zhou family has coveted our Xianyu sect's territory for more than a day or two. Now that we are all about to be conferred the title of Guo tribe, he still dares to act so recklessly. He's too arrogant. Yi Changfeng frowned. He could tell from Zhou Xiong's tone that he was very determined. Even if they tried to block it, they probably wouldn't be able to. Moreover, this had a lot to do with the crisis that was currently occurring in the Xianyu sect. Yi Changfeng muttered to himself in his heart, could it be, does our Xianyu sect really have a spirit treasure that even the Zhao dynasty and General Zhou Yaozong coveted? If it is, then what is it? Afternoon. Xiao Dai woke up with a heavy head, looking at Long Fei, who was squatting at the door, and thinking back to the moment before he fainted. His heart was secretly warmed, and he said, "Long, thank you." Long Fei reacted and scratched his head with a smile, saying, "It's the great water cow that saved you." Xiao Dai stood up and said, "Of course I know you are a first-grade refining body martial artist. How could you be a match for that scoundrel?" Long Fei, Xiao Dai slightly stood up and said, "However, I still need to thank you. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gotten angry at you. It was all because of what I taught you." Xiao Dai apologized, "But I really hope that you can pass the examination and stay with me in Xianyu sect." Long Fei laughed, "I will work hard." Chapter 22:22 Hidden Secrets of the Xianyu Sect. Chapter 22:22 Hidden Secrets of the Xianyu Sect. Long Fei was the one who brought Long Fei along with him. She really hoped that Long Fei could stay. So much so, the cultivation technique of Xianyu treasure, which only disciples of Xianyu sect were qualified to train, was taught to Long Fei ahead of time. And even the books were given to Long Fei. Actually, she did not hold much hope for Long Fei, and the Xianyu treasure had also intentionally left this place for him. Even if he left the Xianyu sect in the future, he would at least have a set of cultivation techniques that he could cultivate. It would always be useful. The next day, Gui Qingshan went out before dawn. Xiao Dai got up early to make breakfast. Today was the last day, and tomorrow was the day of the selection examination. If he was still unable to reach the third rank of body refinement, then Long Fei would not have been qualified to participate in the selection and would have been directly kicked out of the Xianyu sect. And Lin Yu had always been waiting for this chance. It's time for breakfast. Xiao Dai shouted to Long Fei, who had just returned from releasing the bull. Let's go cultivate today. I'll teach you another cultivation technique. Xiao Dai said blandly. Today was the last day, and she knew there was nothing she could do. No matter how fast one's cultivation was, it was impossible for one to break through within a few days. Long Fei nodded, and with that, he started to eat his porridge. Xiao Dai wanted to say something, but held back in the end. Long Fei knew that Xiao Dai was worried about him, and in his heart he did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. On the last day, I have to find a place to level up. At this time, Gui Qingshan returned. He was carrying a bamboo basket on his back, which was empty. Gui Qingshan put down the bamboo basket and took out a plant called the headed crow. It wasn't big, but it had a humanoid shape, and there was even a silhouette of its face. This Wookiee tree did not seem very large, but it definitely had several hundred years' time, or even 1,000 years. Gui Qingshan said slightly, Xiao Dai, stew it later. Eat it before you practice. Finished. Gui Qingshan picked up the chopsticks and started to eat, not saying a word. These few days he had been searching all over the mountain for the spirit grass, and he had spent a lot of effort searching for this plant called the head of the guards. On the surface, it was ice cold. Actually, in his heart, Gui Qingshan also wanted to help Long Fei break through and stay. All these years, Xiao Dai was alone, and he rarely saw her smile. Moreover, he saw that Long Fei was a good guy too. Xiao Dai was overjoyed and said, Thank you, Father. With this 1,000-year-old chief, Wu, along, I will definitely be able to break through. Long Fei said, I still do not need it. He knew that his cultivation was entirely dependent on the system, not to mention the 1,000-year head Wu. Even the divine pills in the space ring would not be able to help him break through. Gui Qingshan said, I'm not asking you to eat it. Xiao Dai wants to eat it too. Xiao Dai smiled and said, I don't need it. Since I don't need to take the examination, I will give all of them to Along alone. Xiao Dai walked happily into the kitchen. Long Fei's heart warmed. He knew it was useless. Half an hour later, Xiao Dai carefully took out a bowl of soup and said, Let's drink while it's hot. We'll go cultivate later. Long Fei said, Go ahead and drink. Xiao Dai said, There's more in the kitchen. Long Fei took it, blew on it for a while, and drank it all in one gulp. Xiao Dai immediately asked, How is it? Do you feel a warm current flowing through your body? Although this Chief Wu is not a high-grade spirit grass, he is very helpful to cultivators at the body refinement realm. Long Fei smiled. In order to not disappoint Xiao Dai, he revealed an excited expression and said, There's a warm current. Xiao Dai laughed and said, I knew it, hee. Warmth? Not even fart. Long Fei simply did not feel any power from the start. It was not because he couldn't, but because of his body. However, just as Long Fei was laughing bitterly in his heart, something strange happened. Ding. True Qi value plus 10 points. Ding. True Qi value plus 10 points. Ding. The system continuously sounded out, the value of the true qi increasing bit by bit. Long Fei was secretly happy. This is a warm current, right? Gui Qingshan glanced at Long Fei and sighed. He saw that there was no warmth in Long Fei's body, and that the bowl of soup was like water. His physique was truly terrible. Gui Qingshan had examined Long Fei when he was unconscious, and his physique was extremely special. It was also at this time. A few disciples of the law enforcement hall walked up and said, "Elder Gui, let me inform you, your daughter Xiao Dai must also participate in the examination tomorrow. You are not allowed to stay in Xianyu sect." Gui Qingshan was startled. Xiao Dai ran out and said, "Why?" The disciple from the law enforcement hall said, "There's no reason. Every disciple from Xianyu sect needs to take the examination, and you are no exception. If you want to stay, you have to pass the examination. Xianyu sect does not raise trash." While they were talking, that disciple couldn't help but look at Long Fei with a trace of contempt in his eyes. Xiao Dai bellowed, "Who are you calling a trash?" That disciple said, "Isn't the person who was fooling around in Xian Yu sect a piece of trash? Are you 16 this year? If you fail to pass this year's selection, you are not allowed to step half a step into Xianyu sect, even if your father is an elder." Xiao Dai refused to accept this and said, "I'm going to look for Uncle Sect Master." The disciple said with a sneer, "Is Sect Master someone that you can meet whenever you want to? You don't even have to look at your own identity." "Humph. Since you've already said so, whether you participate or not is your problem. In short, if you don't pass the selection, get out of Xian Yu sect immediately." Finished. A few disciples walked down the hill with large strides. Xiao Dai said in a huff, "The assessment is right. I'll let you all see my Xiao Dai's strength. Let's go. Let's go cultivate. We'll take the examination together tomorrow." All day, Xiao Dai was even teaching Long Fei cultivation. However, the progress was slow, like a snail crawling. Long Fei was not stupid, but this kind of training method did not suit him at all. It was evening. Xiao Dai was a little dejected and said, "What do we do along? Your cultivation does not even meet the requirements to participate in the selection. How will you participate in the assessment tomorrow?" Long Fei replied, "I will do my best. Work hard." "How hard are you going to work? There's only one night left. Even a super genius wouldn't be able to break through in a single night." "No way. I need to talk to my father. He is an elder, and he even saved Uncle Sect Master back then." "I don't believe that." Finished. Xiao Dai walked up the slope with large strides. Long Fei did not follow him. He climbed onto the back of the green ox and said, lightly, "To the South Mountains." The water buffalo said, "Brother Long, have you thought about it? South of the mountain is a place where many demon beasts roam about. If we were to meet them, I'm afraid." Long Fei said, "Tonight I must break through." He did not want to make things difficult for Gui Qingshan. Furthermore, he did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. Upgrade, he only needed 3,000 experience points. So, easy. Grand Elder, everything has been arranged. Tomorrow, Gui Qingshan's daughter will participate in the selection. All right. Yi Changfeng smiled faintly. Maybe we can give Xiao Dai to the seventh prince and see if he can stop the Zhou family from entering the Xianyu sect. Royal family, the Zhou family that the great general commanded, they all wanted to control the Xianyu sect. In the end, what was the Xianyu sect hiding? Yi Changfeng had been thinking about this problem for the past 2 days. Chapter 22-23, Alchemist's Q Skills. Chapter 22-23, Alchemist's Q Skills. The night was as dark as ink. At the southern base of the mountain, there was a man and an ox. There were a few disciples that came to train during the day, but at night, most of them would come to the sections. There was no other reason but that at night there would be demon beasts that would come to this place. The danger level swiftly rose. Qingyo said, "Brother Long, this is the South Mountain. Every year, several experiential learning disciples die here. Are we really going in?" After all, Long Fei's cultivation was only at the Escalate Body 2 stage. He didn't even have the ability to protect himself when facing Demon Beast. Long Fei did not hesitate and said, "Enter." He did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. Moreover, who is he? He was a professional gamer. What kind of game hadn't he played before? Upgrade? Wasn't that an easy task? Long Fei stepped into the southern mountain at this time. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for gaining 100 experience points by stepping into Nanshan. The true Qi is worth 10 points. Would you like to check the Nanshan hazard? There's even an experience reward for running a map. This is great. Long Fei was startled, but in his heart, he started to like the game system in his mind even more. In his previous life, he could only operate it using the mouse and keyboard. It was different now. He was controlling himself and entering the situation. This kind of feeling was extremely embarrassing. Check the risk factor. Location: Southern Mountains of Xianyu Sect Hazard Rate. 1 star, 1 star map. It's too simple. Long Fei was even more unconcerned in his heart. He strode into the forest and immediately shouted out, "All demon beast, come out and die." It was extremely savage. The voice shook the forest into silence. Not even one of the birds in the nest was startled. The silence was unnerving. The Escalate Body 2 stage only had a vision of 2 meters at night, and it was still a ball of fog. Basically, it was blind and could not see clearly even if a black bear was standing in front of Long Fei. Suddenly, the green ox suddenly shouted, "Brother Long, there's a ferocious beast approaching." As soon as he finished, roar! A red-eyed boar suddenly appeared from the bushes. 1 pig, 2 bears, 3 tigers. This wild boar was at least 300 jin in weight. Its 2 long tusks formed a ball, and its long nose. If he was killed by it, he would probably die. Long Fei's reaction was not slow either. Although the Xianyu treasure S were at level 1, they still had a basic reaction. However, Long Fei's character was, "Don't be terrified, just do it." Seeing the red-eyed wild boar rush forward, he took out his sky sword and attacked. Shwa! Let's see if you're powerful or if your father's sword is. 1 charge, 1 stab. Bam! The sword pierced the wild boar's head, causing its body to bend, causing Long Fei to feel even more pressure. The power in his arms increased. He stomped his foot on the ground. Shwa! The sky sword pierced right into the red-eyed boar's skull. The gash on the top of his head also instantly disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar, for obtaining 100 experience and 10 true Qi points. 1 strike is enough. Ding! Trigger mission. Quest: kill 100 red-eyed boars. Time: 10 hours. Reward: 1,000 experience points, 100 true Qi points, 10 arrogant god energy value points. Note: task failure level 1. Note: you can obtain a special reward from the system after 5 hours. Another mission. 10 hours, 100 wild boars. Long Fei grinned and said, "It's not that difficult, but is it just that there are so many wild boars in the southern mountains?" Long Fei did not care about missions. Who is he? Professional player. What kind of mission had he not seen before? He was worried that there were not so many wild boars in the South Mountain, so he would not be able to complete the mission. "Brother Long, do you need a lot of red-eyed boars?" asked Qingyo. Long Fei said, Do you know where I do? Qingniu said, there is a wild boar valley in the south of the mountain, and all of them are red-eyed boars. Long Fei's eyes shone. How many are there? Qingniu said, a lot, at least a few hundred. Huh. Ha ha ha. Hurry up and take me with you. Long Fei climbed on top of the green ox and killed the scattered wild boar. If he could finish the quest within 5 hours, he would get a special reward. The green ox didn't hesitate and rushed towards the wild boar valley. Half an hour later, the green ox stopped and looked ahead. In front of us is the wild boar valley. Long Fei got down from the ground and looked at the pitch-black valley, which seemed like the big mouth of a prehistoric beast. He took a look and said, I didn't find any red-eyed boars. The green ox lowered its voice. Brother Long, these wild boars are all hiding. Is that so? Long Fei hesitated for a moment, then walked into the valley and shouted, Grandson, grandfather is here. Qingniu was dumbfounded. At this moment, in the darkness of the valley, a pair of crimson eyes flashed out. They were like will-o-wisps, extremely terrifying. Half a minute passed. His red eyes swept across the entire valley, and the first few that noticed Long Fei had rushed over. Long Fei counted slightly. I'm rich. 100 experience points for a wild boar. 100 of them would give me 10,000 experience points. Can I get at least 2 levels higher? Hee. The sky sword moved. The long sword dragged on the ground as it pierced towards the pair of red eyes that were charging towards it. There were no sword moves, only a horizontal slash. Long Fei's current cultivation technique was basically not useful to him. He needed it a lot. The sword stabbed out. The sword missed. At this moment, the other 3 wild boars ferociously charged forward. Long Fei's face tensed, his sword supporting on the ground. He jumped out of the way and dodged the attack. However, before he could land on the ground, a wild boar pounced on him. Moo! With a roar, the great green ox charged forward, while the wild bull charged. Bam! The wild boar in midair was knocked flying. However, the cow-like roar woke up more wild boars, and dozens of them rushed down. After Long Fei landed, he quickly rushed to the wild boar that was sent flying by the green ox and stabbed down with his sword. Ding! The second wild boar was killed. However, dozens of wild boars came at once, like a tsunami. Long Fei's expression was anxious. A few wild boars are fine, but there are so many of them, I can't really hold them off. If there were any AoE skills, it would be great. Skills. Long Fei desperately needed skills, right now. Suddenly, Long Fei's mind suddenly flashed. That's right. I even have 1 free lottery draw. Immediately, Long Fei immediately opened the lottery system and said, Start the lottery. The wheel was different from the previous one. Taurus Sage Warrior, the Libra Saints, Gord, Xianzong. There were a lot of things, including magic weaponess and battle skills. Long Fei didn't have time to look at the rewards on the spinning wheel. He was being chased by dozens of red-eyed boars. Ding! The lottery ended. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining highly toxic tracking. Q skill of the alchemist Sinjid. Chapter 22-24, Dry Boss. Chapter 22-24, Dry Boss. What the F******K. Can you not be so fierce? Long Fei was instantly excited. He quickly braked and stopped. The green ox also quickly came to a halt and said, Brother Long, why aren't you running? There are too many ferocious beasts here. We should hurry up and run. If we don't run now, we won't make it. The great water buffalo is naturally timid. Looking at the dense mass of red-eyed boars in the valley, he was also afraid. Long Fei grinned and said, "Right now, they are the ones running, hee hee." The idea moved. Cultivate. Skills. Highly toxic tracking grade. Level 3 consumption. 5 true chi per second. Duration, 3 minutes cooldown. None, ha ha ha. I'm going to be awesome. He was very familiar with the skills of alchemists. He could use one word to describe this hero: dog skin plaster. As long as he was stuck, he wouldn't be able to chase him or run away. It was very annoying. Of course, Long Fei now only knew that the highly toxic tracking had no other skills. However, this highly toxic tracking was enough. He finished his training. Long Fei turned around and looked at the valley and said, "Qingyo, follow what I say. Remember, use all of your strength to shout it out. Do you understand?" Qingyo did not understand what Long Fei was trying to do, so he could only nod his head and say, "Brother Long, hurry up, we're almost there." Long Fei's anger sunk as he roared out loudly, "Grandson, grandfather is here. Come, come, come to be your grandfather." Qingyo's face was ashen. He was still going to ridicule at this time. Isn't this courting death? Following Long Fei's order, even more wild boars rushed out. The green ox was trembling in fear. Long Fei said, "Qingyo, speak. With brother here, there's no need to be afraid of anyone." "I told you to say it. Hurry up." Qingyo had to shout out loud to repeat Long Fei's words. "Grandson, grandfather is here. Come, come, let's fuck grandfather." His voice shook the whole wild boar valley awake. The wild boar's roar echoed out, and the bulldrome, who was already a demon beast at the deepest part of the valley, suddenly stood up, angry. The wild boar in the valley roared and rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid. He replied excitedly, "The more the better." Green Ox was trembling with fear. All the wild boars in Wild Boar Valley have been enraged. "Brother Long, we've had enough of talking. Now quickly run away. If we don't run now, it'll be too late." Long Fei was not in a hurry and said, "Qingyo, wait for my command. Run wherever I tell you to." The green ox nodded its head repeatedly. As long as it could run, it was fine. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The wild boar army rushed down. Long Fei climbed up the back of the cyan bull. Without waiting for Long Fei's orders, the cyan bull dashed out like a runaway wild horse. Long Fei quickly said, slow down. Those wild boars have not caught up yet." While they were talking, Qingyo did not understand, but he did not listen to Long Fei and kept on running out of the valley. The red-eyed boars were also crazily chasing and soon reached the back of the cows, but then Long Fei laughed excitedly. "You want to chase after me? I let you chase after me." The idea moved, releasing the highly toxic tracking. Next, streams of dark green poisonous smoke slowly emitted from Long Fei's body. At this time, the true chi's value continuously decreased at 5 points per second. At the same time, the blood troughs on the heads of the wild boar army were rapidly decreasing. "Come on, chase me. Come on, chase you guys down." Those poisonous boars also slowed down and started to retch on the spot as they felt dizzy. A string of red numbers started to float up from the top of their heads. 12, 17, 20. Although the damage wasn't too high, it was still an AoE skill. The damage from a few wild boars wasn't light. Long Fei shouted, "Qingyo, go back. Hurry up." Qingyo was slightly taken aback. He saw that the wild boars had been poisoned, yet another wave of wild boars had been poisoned. This skill was simply too satisfying. Chase after lousy? Satisfying. Long Fei was extremely excited, but why? The value of the true chi dropped a little too fast. Right now, he was only using the Escalate Body 2 stage, and the value of the true chi was only 400 points. It wouldn't last long. Long Fei himself was not idle either, as he watched the wild boars whose HP was about to run low being pierced with his sword. Once the wild boar died, it would immediately replenish his true chi points. After half an hour, a large amount of wild boar carcasses fell to the ground. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up, currently at the 3rd grade refining body, level 3. Simple. Too simple. Ha ha ha. The mission hasn't been completed yet. Go and lead another wave. Long Fei did not stop. If he did not clean up this wild boar valley today, he would not be Long Fei. The feeling of leveling up was too great. His strength increased. His health point had been completely restored, and the value of his true chi was the same. Just one word, fuck him. Having skills was good, leveling up was good. Long Fei was extremely pleased. However, when he entered the valley for the 2nd time, before he could make a taunting sound, he felt as if he was crushed by an intimidating pressure. 2 lantern-like red eyes stared at him. Bulldrome, level 2 demon beast, and a commander level 1 at that. Damn, this is pressure. Long Fei felt like his body was frozen. He could not move even a single inch, and his heart was shivering uncontrollably. The pressure came from a powerful aura. Bulldrome stared at Long Fei. Long Fei slowly turned his head and looked at Bulldrome, who was not far away from him like an elephant. His Adam's apple rolled as he heavily swallowed it down. Boss. Its entire body glowed with a golden light. Although it wasn't very strong, it was undoubtedly a boss. Azurox. Long Fei shouted. However, in this instant, bam! The Bulldrome suddenly attacked. His speed, strength, all of these came with extreme ferocity. Without giving Long Fei any time to react at all, the pig nose arched, and Long Fei's body instantly flew into the air. Crack! Crack! A few of his ribs were directly broken, and Long Fei's health point had also instantly decreased by more than half. This was only the newly broken through 3rd grade refining body. Long Fei's various attributes had all been raised. If not for this, he would already be a corpse. Bam! With a heavy smash, Long Fei's vital energy and blood tumbled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. So damn strong. At this moment, the green ox rushed up. Brother Long. Run. The green ox blocked it. Run. Long Fei climbed up from the ground with much difficulty and swallowed the spirit pellet that burst out from Zhou Tian's body. His health point recovered slightly. The word run doesn't exist in this daddy's dictionary. However, he did not charge towards the Bulldrome again. Instead, he turned around and charged at the poisoned wild boars. He was just a bit away from completing the mission. He was just a bit away from leveling up again. Less than 2 hours had passed in the 10 hours time limit. If he could complete it, he would definitely be able to receive a special reward from the system. He had no other choice now. The Cyan Ox was no longer the same as the Cyan Ox before. Long Fei's parasitic spell could no longer be used on him. Therefore, Long Fei wanted to gamble, completing the mission, upgrading, and receiving a special reward. In a single fight, the bike would become a motorbike. Chapter 2225, Fairy from Heaven, Instant Kill. Chapter 2225, Fairy from Heaven, Instant Kill. Of course, it was also possible for him to turn the bike into air. Highly toxic tracking. Long Fei released the poison crazily and started killing the boars too. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar. Reward: 100 experience points. True chi value: 10 points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar. Reward: 100 experience points. True chi value: 10 points. Ding! The system beeped crazily. It was getting closer and closer to 100 sets of task goal, looking at Long Fei crazily killing the red-eyed wild boar. The bulldrome was even more furious. He rushed towards the big buffalo, whose body was even bigger than the big buffalo. The water buffalo trembled slightly and immediately said, "Brother Pig, don't be angry. I am also a demon beast." Not waiting for him to finish, the bulldrome suddenly nudged. The great water cow was frightened. It turned around and said, "Brother Pig, don't be like this. There's something we can discuss." Bam! Another collision. The great water cow narrowly avoided his attack again and turned around to see Long Fei's violent battle. Even the great water cow's heart was trembling. "Brother Long, are you done yet?" "I can't hold on any longer." "Persevere for a few more seconds." Long Fei replied as the sky sword quickly made its move. A bitter expression appeared on the water buffalo's face. "A few seconds is a few seconds?" "Io." Bulldrome bent his body over the water buffalo, and the water buffalo let out a miserable cry. The water buffalo retreated several thousand kilograms and said, "I can't hold on. I really can't hold on." However, the great water cow didn't abandon Long Fei. Instead, it turned to Bulldrome and said, "Damn, your father has already given you face, right? Don't you not know what's good for you? If you are capable, why the F***CK are you chasing after me?" Finished. The great water buffalo turned around and dashed out. However, the bulldrome didn't even look at him and rushed towards Long Fei in large strides. Its eyes turned blood red. These red-eyed boars were all his descendants. How could they not be enraged when they saw their own descendants being slaughtered just like that? Bang, bang, bang. His footsteps were like thunder, crazily rushing towards Long Fei. The great water bull ran out and turned to look at Bulldrome rushing towards Long Fei. His heart skipped a beat. "This is bad. Brother Long, run!" As he shouted, the water buffalo also charged towards him. 96 heads. Boom. 97 heads. Die. Long Fei did not stop there to kill. He had also noticed the strong beast like pressure heading towards him, but he remained calm in his heart. 98. Boom. Another red-eyed boar fell. Bang, bang, bang. They were only 10 meters away from Long Fei, and in the blink of an eye, they were already in front of him. Long Fei's heart also tensed up. The sky sword in his hands fiercely thrust it out. Pa-chi, pa-chi. 2 wild boars were killed in a string. The 100th. Boom. As the 2 wild boars fell, a system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed boar, for obtaining 100 experience and 10 true chi points. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for completing 100 red-eyed wild boar quest. Rewards: 1,000 experience points, 100 true chi points, 10 arrogant god energy value points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 4th grade refining body, level 4. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest with a score of S level. You have received a special reward from the system. Fairy from Heaven. Do you wish to cultivate it? Fairy from Heaven? Duga City's unique skill. A shocking sword strike. Long Fei muttered. This is a F** King Godly technique. Cultivate. Cultivate. Long Fei shouted continuously. Dugu Chung and Shiman Fengshue had already used it during the battle at the peak of the Purple Taboo. Although they had been defeated, this sword technique could be said to be the pinnacle of sword strikes. An extremely powerful existence. Skills: Fairy from Heaven grade. Divine skill consumption. All true chi cooldown. 20 hours. Description: possesses extraordinary strength. Flying immortal stage with one sword attack. F***CK. A fierce contest. Bulldrome right. The beast's might can crush your father, right? Long Fei's body sank as he pointed at the bulldrome that was charging towards him with the Sky Sword S, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. It was also at this time. Moonlight shone through the clouds. A peculiar light flashed from the Sky Sword. This light was very special. At the same time, in another world, Long Zhanting, whose entire body was covered in blood within the Dragon Abyss dungeon, suddenly raised his head. His eyes flashed with a sharp light and became extremely excited. "Fair, you're still alive." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Then, Long Zhanting laughed out arrogantly, his long, graying hair fluttering in the wind like a demon. The dragon-locked chain coughed loudly, shaking the entire Dragon Abyss dungeon. For the past 100 years, Long Zhanting had always kept his head down, suppressing the inside of the Dragon Abyss. However, he was not dead. He believed his son was still alive. He firmly believed in this. Now, he could feel the aura of the Sky Sword. Even though it was very weak, he could feel it. This meant that his son Long Fei was still alive. The Sky Sword had accompanied him for countless years, and the Sky Sword had also recognized Long Zhanting as its master. Back then, the reason why Long Zhanting kept the Sky Sword was so he could pass it down to Long Fei, God's tribe's big battle. It could be said that the entire God's tribe was in chaos when Long Fei charged through the 10th heaven. God's tribe spent 100 years to suppress everything, new control of the universal large world. In these 100 years, Long Zhanting had not felt the aura of the Sky Sword even once, but this time he felt it. Moreover, through the aura, he knew that Long Fei was still alive. Excited. Just you wait. Long Wutian, Wild Boar Valley. Long Fei also felt the change in the Sky Sword. Even though it was only for an instant, it was as if he had felt the power of another world, one that was incomparably familiar with it. He looked like a very familiar person. He didn't know who it was. However, he felt incomparable pain. He didn't think too much about it. Right now, the only thing Long Fei wanted to do was to kill the boss. The long sword moved. He took a heavy step with his right foot and flew into the air. Sky, outer, flying, celestial. The sword stabbed down. As the sword intent churned, the entire valley shook violently. From the sky, a sword pierced through the air. Puchi, the sound of something tearing through the air rang out. Bulldrome was pierced by the sword, and his entire body was nailed to the ground. A scarlet number, 1,000,000, floated above his head. 1,000,000 damage. Instant kill. A one-strike kill. Bulldrome didn't even have time to react. Long Fei landed and looked at the gigantic Bulldrome, his heart surging. "This is my first boss. Why don't you at least feel better?" And then Long Fei held onto the Sky Sword tightly, feeling that there was something different about this Sky Sword. "Come, explode for me." The system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 22-26. Holy Artifact. Overlord Tripod. Chapter 22-26. Holy Artifact. Overlord Tripod. This is the first boss. Get me some good items. Boom! Bulldrome's body collapsed, and the sound of system beep could be heard. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Bulldrome, for obtaining 1,000 EXP, 100 true chi points, and 1 mad god value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Bulldrome's physique. You wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Bulldrome's blood essence. You wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Bulldrome's leather armor. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Overlord tripod. The things that were dropped were all from the Bouldrome, but the last Overlord tripod caused Long Fei's chrysanthemum to tighten. What is this? Immediately. He immediately opened the system to check. Item. Overlord tripod rank. Holy artifact description. Possessing the Overlord power, one ding down, reduced to ashes. Description 2. Overlord tripod S can also have alchemy, refine artifacts, and refine talismans. God holy artifact. Long Fei stared at the 2 words holy artifact with abnormal excitement, and then looked at the description of the Overlord tripod. Not only is it respectful, it's also able to refine alchemy. 2 words. Awesome. Just as Long Fei was about to kill the Bouldrome, the Sky Sword released a ray of luck aura. The reason why Holy Artifact could be exposed was also because of the Sky Sword. Long Fei had not been able to see its attribute and had been hiding it all along. It was a rusty sword, so there was no difference, but in Long Fei's heart, the Sky Sword was extraordinary. Keeping the Sky Sword, Long Fei moved. Immediately, a huge wave of Overlord power poured into his body, and with a flick of his right hand, boom, a giant cauldron appeared on Long Fei's right hand, causing his body to sink in and struggle a bit. This is F** King over 10,000 kilograms. Slash. The sleeve on Long Fei's right arm cracked. The dragon-shaped mark tattoo on his right arm also appeared. At this moment, the power on the Overlord tripod became even more ferocious, as though it had suddenly become stronger. Long Fei grabbed the Overlord tripod and smashed its foot onto the ground. Rumble! Rumble! The ground was cracked open, and the red-eye boar was smashed to smithereens. It really was an existence that had been reduced to ashes after being struck down by the cauldron. Awesome! The holy artifact is in your mouth. Long Fei's face was full of excitement, not only because the Overlord tripod was a holy artifact, but also because the Overlord tripod was incomparably eye-catching. If it were to be gathered above one's head, not to mention a human, even the gods would be frightened to the point of going limp. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed out loud. In another place, Xianyu Sect's law enforcement hall. Master Guan, I beg of you. Gui Qingshan asked in a begging tone. Guanzhen shook his head. Elder Gui, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that this is a matter that can't be helped. Only that brat has already offended the Pill Pavilion. So even if he were to enter the Xianyu sect, he wouldn't end up well. Tell me about your daughter. What is there to be afraid of with your daughter's cultivation? The disciples of the entire Xianyu sect are all brought here for the examination. As an elder of the Xianyu sect, you should set your own example, right? Guanzhen said indifferently. He was the law enforcement elder. He was the head examiner for this selection of new disciples. If he could make sense of the situation, Long Fei would not participate in the selection anymore. In fact, this sort of thing happened quite often. Many of the elders' relatives did not pass the examination and directly came in, but when it came to Gui Qingshan, what they meant was to set an example by oneself. Moreover, as the main examiner, Guanzhen had the right to let some special disciples pass without needing to take any examinations. Everyone knew about this. Guanzhen's words showed that he did not want to help Gui Qingshan. Even when Gui Qingshan was begging him, he did not give him any face. In the past few days, Gui Qingshan had always been trying to find connections for Long Fei, but his relationship with the Xianyu sect was extremely poor, and not many people took him seriously. If not for the relationship with the sect master, the 7th prince would probably have been chased out of Xianyu sect. Gui Qingshan asked. Hasn't been allowed to participate in the selection examination in the past years. Why are you doing this year? This was what he was puzzled about. This was also what he was worried about. Guanzhen explained. Xiao Dai is already 16, and is the final selection age. The reason why I didn't notify you in the past was because I wanted you to bring her for the selection, but you didn't do that. Elder Gui, it's just a selection assessment. I believe in Xiao Dai. Guanzhen said while laughing. Gui Qingshan said, and if she is not selected? Guanzhen said slightly, if there really is no selection, then. Elder Gui, I can't decide this alone. Out of the corner of his eye, he couldn't help but look at the other end of the hall. Gui Qingshan said, I understand. Finished. Gui Qingshan also looked at the other side of the hall and slowly walked out of the law enforcement agency. Gui Qingshan walked far away. A person walked out of the darkness. Yi Changfeng. Guanzhen also quickly went up to welcome him and smiled faintly. Great Elder, you were right. Gui Qingshan really came to find me. Yi Changfeng looked at Gui Qingshan's disappearing relieved smile and said, after offending seventh prince, if his days are better, then my days will not be better. While they were talking, Yi Changfeng took out a small bottle from his bosom and said, there are 3 blood spirit pills inside. Guanzhen's eyes shone with a gold light. He could not hide his joy and said, thank you, great clan elder. Yi Changfeng laughed. If you want to fight with me, I'll use just you. Gui Qingshan? Are you worthy? The next morning, the martial arts arena was bustling with noise and excitement. Tens of thousands of youths rushed over from every direction. These youths all carried their dreams of becoming powerful cultivators in their hearts. As long as they could enter the Xian Yu sect and become cultivators through hard work, they would be able to change their fates. The scene was exactly the same as the college entrance exam in his previous life. It was just that. The fighter exam was even stricter than the college entrance exam, and it was also harder than the college entrance exam. If you fail in the college entrance examination, you might be able to do something else, but if you fail in the martial arts exam, you might end up as one of the lowest level ants in this world forever, unable to turn your body around for the rest of your life. This was an era where the powerhouse was respected. Everything depended on strength. Yawning, Long Fei yawned. He came back late last night, so he didn't have enough sleep and was in a bad mental state. Xiao Dai asked, where did you go last night? Long Fei scratched his head and said, nothing. Xiao Dai did not notice any change in Long Fei's cultivation. Xiao Dai said worriedly, I also don't know if Father found out yet, but right now you are just at Escalate Body 2 stage. I'm afraid. Long Fei laughed and said, don't worry. Xiao Dai said, how can I not be worried? I am the one who has brought you to Xian Yu sect. I am responsible for you. Chapter 22-27, Zhou Family Warrior. Chapter 22-27, Zhou Family Warrior. I will be responsible for you. Long Fei was a little touched. However, he had not revealed his current cultivation. After all, he was a professional player and leveling expert. The effort he had put in that night had turned everything upside down. Long Fei thought, I'll give you a pleasant surprise later. At this time, a man dressed in luxurious clothing beside him had a pompous smile on his face. Beautiful girl, what are you going to do to him? It would be better to be responsible for me. He's just a trash of the Escalate Body 2 stage, and he hasn't even reached the standards for the examination. Exactly. Look at our young master. He's a 4th grade refining body genius. If you follow our young master, you won't lose out. The surrounding crowd burst into laughter. Escalate Body 2 stage still wants to test. Let's go home and wash up. Brainless, the exam criteria have been announced. The lowest threshold is body refining 3rd level. I think it's someone with a screw loose. Indeed, every single person dares to participate in the selection. Why don't you take a piss for yourself instead? Trash must have the awareness to become trash. Everyone mocked and disgust. Long Fei was not angry, but Xiao Dai was. What are you laughing at? Talking about other people's trash. What kind of geniuses are you? Humph. Along, let's ignore him. What happened to the escalate body 2 stage? Even the true martial emperor was able to break through from the refinement realm step by step. Xiao Dai said, fiercely. He didn't know why. If this had happened in the past, Long Fei would definitely have exploded with rage, after which he would violently beat up those people who had mocked him. If you don't like it, then do it. However, his expression did not change. He held back an emotion. Endure it? Wrong. Long Fei did not have the word endure in his dictionary. He had remembered all of them down, and then started to calculate slowly during the rest of the exams. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. The Zhou family has arrived. The people from the Zhou clan of the Southern County Estate have arrived. Wow, how handsome. The Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. This is the largest family in our Southern County. Have you heard of it? The young master of the Zhou family, Zhou Tian, disappeared from the Xianyu sect. I heard about this. Who dares to oppose the Zhou family? Zhou Yaozong is the great marshal of war. He controls an army of 1 million people. Aren't those who touch the Zhou family looking to die? In order to investigate the truth, the Zhou family sent people to stay in the Xianyu sect. I heard that they are going to set up a branch in the Xianyu sect. Damn. Then isn't this looking down on the Xianyu sect too much? No matter what, Xianyu sect is still a Gua tribe. Although the decree hasn't come down yet, in less than a month, the decree and the imperial concubine will arrive, right? Is the Zhou family overdoing it? Discussions broke out. Long Fei looked carefully. The few clan elders of the Zhou clan were not ordinary. The dozen or so young disciples gave Long Fei the feeling that special guard. He was no ordinary disciple. They were warrior who had been on the battlefield before and carried a murderous aura with him. They were completely different from ordinary disciples. The way they walked and the way they looked at each other was completely different. Zhou Xiong walked in front of Guanzhun and said, "These are our Zhou family's participating disciples." Guanzhun smiled and said, All right. All of the Zhou family's disciples are elites. You don't need to test your cultivation to directly enter the assessment later. Zhou Xiong slightly said, "That won't do. No matter what assessment standard your Xianyu sect has, we will do it according to it, so as to avoid people saying that our Zhou family is going too far." And then Zhou Xiong turned around and looked at the disciples behind him and said, "Did you hear that clearly? They all have to follow the standards set by the Xianyu sect." "Yes, sir." Everyone shouted in unison. The voice was deep. Guanzhun laughed bitterly. Others would not be able to tell, but he was still unable to tell, that these so-called Zhou clan disciples were actually warriors in the army. They came to participate in the examination. Wasn't this just crushing them all the way? Who could contend against them? He didn't understand. Forget about General Zhou Yaozong. Even if it was the Zhou family in the Southern Palace, they would have more resources for cultivation than his Xianyu sect. So why would they come to the Xianyu sect? To find out the reason for Zhou Tian's disappearance? But there was no need for that. To be stationed in the Xianyu sect, this was indeed a little too arrogant, adding on the fact that the Xianyu sect was now the Guo tribe. The Zhou family measured the number of points, changed their strategy, allowed a dozen or so elites to participate in the Xianyu sect's assessment and become the Xianyu sect's disciples. However, he then applied for a division. Even so, the Zhou family still chose to enter the Xianyu sect. Xiao Dai's expression changed slightly, and she asked in a low voice, "Along, we weren't exposed, right?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "Don't worry. It would take a long time to find Zhou Tian's corpse. Also, These Zhou family members gave Long Fei the feeling that they were not here for Zhou Tian, but for some other purpose. Long Fei said, "You must be careful of these people during the assessment. If you can run, run." They were all dangerous people. Xiao Dai smirked. "What are you afraid of? The Zhou family doesn't have any good people." There was a strange light in her eyes. Very special. It was as if there was some kind of hatred within this light. Long Fei did not notice. Long Fei thought that it was because of the previous cycle. Long Fei said, "It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person, you have to be careful." At this time, at the main entrance of martial arts arena, a group of people dressed in gold armor, holding onto long spears, rushed into the training grounds, forcefully opening up a path. Seventh Prince Zhao Yiqian swaggered in. Beside him was a middle-aged man. He was not the expert who was ranked 7th in the elixir last time. When Guan Zhen saw the 7th Prince, he immediately went forward to welcome him. 7th Prince walked up with large strides, and without even bothering with Guan Zhen, he directly walked to the top. His gaze swept across the entire audience and revealed a cold and disdainful smile. He did not put anyone here in his eyes at all. Below the stage, the 8,000 participating disciples did not dare to make a sound. Who was the person on the stage? 7th Prince, the Empress's most beloved little son, and he was a super hedonist at that. More importantly, the person following behind him was a peerless expert, the super powerhouse ranked 3rd on the elixir ranking, Miao Chong, cold as ice. However, his gaze was as if it could kill, causing people to not dare to look him in the eye. Suddenly, Zhao Yiqian's gaze locked onto Xiao Dai, who was within the crowd. The corner of his mouth curled into a sinister sneer, and he said, "I really miss you to death. Let's see where you can run to this time." Ha ha! Zhao Yiqian laughed obscenely, and then Zhao Yiqian shot a glance at Guan Zhen and said, "I'm here to participate in the selection. Can we begin the examination now?" Everyone below the stage was shocked. 7th Prince was participating in the selection? Did he even need to participate in the selection? Who would dare to compete with him? If they were to say that they didn't dare to fight with the Zhou family just now, then now, they were even more afraid to fight with the 7th Prince, as he was someone who would kill without batting an eye. Moreover, no matter where this fellow goes, even if he were to enter the examination grounds, he would bring along a super powerhouse with him. Who would dare to compete with him? Chapter 22-28 Level Test. Chapter 22-28 Level Test. The reason he came to the 7th Prince this time was to get back at him. Moreover, he had to get even with the prophets. Zhao Yiqian stared at Xiao Dai coldly, his face filled with a cold sneer. Xiao Dai's body trembled slightly. Long Fei supported him and whispered, "Don't worry, I am here." Xiao Dai laughed bitterly and said, "Along, since you are at Escalate Body 2 stage, don't participate in the selection." When Xiao Dai thought about what happened last time, he felt a sense of lingering fear. If not for the water buffalo going crazy, she would probably have. 7th Prince participating in the test this time was obviously because of her. Furthermore, this time, the buffalo would not accompany her. Besides, the 7th Prince had also replaced an even more powerful expert with him. Once they entered the testing grounds, then Xiao Dai's eyes were completely filled with undisguised hatred this time. It was not the ordinary kind of hatred, but the very, very, very deep kind. It was as if there was an irreconcilable hatred between him and Zhao Yiqian. Interesting. Long Fei was very clear about what happened that day on the mountain path. Long Fei thought, if you want to participate in the selection, then select well. If you are here to cause trouble, then don't blame me for being rude. Last time I scared you to the point of peeing, and this time it's the same. Long Fei was not a person who feared trouble. The seventh prince said somewhat impatiently, "Let's start quickly. I can't even wait." Guanzhen immediately said, all right, we'll begin right away. Now, I will announce the start of the Xian Yu Sex selection test. Please line up and test your cultivation. Anyone who has not reached the third grade of refining body will not have the qualifications to enter the selection. As soon as he finished, the surrounding Xian Yu sect disciples started to get busy. Brat, did you hear that? Those who haven't reached the third grade of body refinement aren't qualified to participate in the selection. I say, why are you still so lazy? Don't waste our time. Exactly. Trash like you waste time every year. Get out of the team. Long Fei turned around to look at them and said, I won't leave. What are you going to do about it? Unhappy? Come up and bite me. F***CK. Everyone was enraged as they stared at Long Fei. No one dared to make a move, because once they did, they would lose the qualification to take the exam. Xiao Dai lowered his head in thought, looking like he was extremely worried about something. The team slowly moved forward. In another place, everyone is here. The people of the Zhou family, the seventh prince, is here. An elder walked up to the three elders and reported. Yi Changfeng frowned. The great clan elder of the treasure refining pavilion, Yu Wanshan, said, What is the Zhou family trying to do? The cultivation resources in the Xianyu sect are not as much as the Zhou family. What are they doing in the Xianyu sect? Great elder of Kung Fu storage pavilion, Wu Yi, replied. Under the guise of investigating the disappearance of the disciples, I think they have other motives. Yi Changfeng slightly said, I have investigated. The young master of the Zhou family has truly disappeared, and not just any news. Wu Yi said, Then the Zhou family has another goal. Why do we have to look for them in the Xianyu sect when they are missing? Exactly. Yu Wanshan asked, What is the Zhao family up to now? Isn't it too quiet in Xianyu sect to send such a hedonistic prince? Yi Changfeng said sternly, Don't spout nonsense. The current Zhao family is not the same as the previous Zhao family. Yu Wanshan sneered and said, Yes, the current Zhao family is of the imperial family, so we cannot speak carelessly. But what about the Zhao family back then? A family of eunuchs that started out as a eunuch. As soon as he finished, Yi Changfeng glared at him. Yu Wanshan also realized that his words just now were a little too excessive. If these words were heard by the imperial family, the entire Xian Yu sect was about to disappear from this world. Yu Wanshan said in a low voice, What I said was the truth. The world of the Zhao family was stolen. This was something that everyone in the world knew. It was just that in that era, the Wei family was rotten to the core, and the Wei dynasty was imbecile and useless. No powerhouse appeared. The Wei clan's dragon fountain had been severed. The Zhao family took advantage of this situation. It was rumored that the Wei clan's dragon vein was cut off by the Zhao clan's ancestor, Zhao Chongshan, become the overlord of the Zhenwu continent. These were not secrets, but no one dared to say. The Zhao family's methods were very cruel. Moreover, he controlled over 10,000 cultivators and also controlled countless cultivation resources. All the cultivators in the world had to depend on the Zhao family. Only then did the Zhao family's world become so stable. However, Crown Prince Zhao suddenly wanted to marry Luo Niang, the daughter of Xian Yu sect's master Luo Xian. Furthermore, he brought her to the imperial city with lightning speed. The Xian Yu sect was immediately conferred the title of Guo tribe. This series of events confused many people. Even the people from the Xian Yu sect did not understand. Xian Yu sect was merely a small sect. How could it attract the attention of the Zhao family? Interesting. Now, it even allowed 7th Prince Zhao Yiqian to participate in the Xian Yu sex assessment, which made people even more puzzled. Yi Changfeng exhaled slightly and said, "No matter what, Xian Yu sect is not a match for the Zhao family, so we can only submit. Send my order down. Secretly send 2 more elders to protect the 7th Prince's safety." "Right." Yi Changfeng asked, "What is the cultivation level of this 7th Prince?" The 2 elders shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Lu Bin, 3rd grade refining body, passed. This is your identity card. Lin Kai, 3rd grade refining body, qualified. Next. Most of them were body refining 3rd grade. For those without any cultivation resources, to be able to reach 3rd grade refining body before the age of 15 or 16 was already a pretty good existence. Training. There couldn't be a less wealthy couple, especially the first word, wealth. Cultivating meant burning money, and it was also burning tons of money. Without the support of a certain amount of money, food, and clothing, there were worries everywhere. How could he train in peace? To buy spirit grass, spirit pills, magic weapon all required a strong financial support. Money was very important. 7th Prince, 8th level of the body refinement realm. As soon as he finished, the entire audience was stunned. 8th grade refining body. So high. Who's his opponent? The Zhao family has Emperor's Qi in their body. Every single person in the Zhao family is a genius, and a body refining 8th level is really powerful. Yeah, this year's first place belongs to him. 7th Prince laughed complacently. He was proud like a peacock with its tail between its legs, and his eyes were full of pride. Zhou Mo, 5th grade refining body. Zhou Yang, 5th grade refining body. Zhou Hai, 5th grade refining body. The Zhou family's disciples were all at the 5th grade refining body. Moreover, they all had indifferent expressions without a single trace of emotion on their faces. Everyone was shocked once again. The 7th Prince also looked at the many disciples of the Zhou family. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he also had a look of disdain. Next, didn't you hear? Long Fei gently touched Xiao Dai, and Xiao Dai finally reacted, walking forward after hesitating for half a second. Xiao Dai, body refining 5th level, qualified. Long Fei was startled and said, "Xiao Dai, you broke through?" Xiao Dai laughed and nodded. The disciples said to Long Fei, "Next, hurry up, don't waste our time. He doesn't need to test. Escalate body 2 stage." Ha ha ha. Long Fei slowly walked forward, pressing his strength into his palm. A burst of light exploded out from the black stone. "Thank you for your support." Chapter 22-29. Sister will cover you. Chapter 22-29. Sister will cover you. The glow on the black stone climbed higher and higher until it was at 6. The disciple in charge of the test was slightly startled. He looked at Long Fei seriously and muttered, "Is the test for the black stone broken? Senior brother, what's the situation? Why is it a 6th grade refining body?" I clearly remember that he was a 1st grade refining body martial artist. They had been to the barren hillside where Long Fei was. He was very clear about Long Fei's cultivation. It had only been a few days. It was impossible to go from a 1st grade refining body to a 6th grade refining body. Even a super genius wouldn't be able to do it. Long Fei asked, "Is your cultivation level high enough?" One of the disciples looked at Long Fei and said, "I didn't test well just now. Go test again." "Fuck, it's that troublesome." Long Fei complained. Although he was unwilling, he still placed his hand on top. Buzz. The light on the black stone continued to rise. One section after another. It stopped at position 6. The 2 disciples looked at each other and asked, "Brat, are you cheating?" A few days ago, you were clearly a first-grade refining body, but now you're a sixth-grade refining body? You dare to say that you're not cheating? It was impossible. The path of cultivation lay in breaking through bit by bit. Who could be so abnormal? Long Fei said, "A few days ago, I was a first rank in refinement, but now I cannot be a sixth rank in refinement." The disciple said, "It's not like you're some genius." Long Fei said, "A genius is nothing. I am a demon." Genius? Honestly, Long Fei did not place any other so-called genius in his eyes. Any other kind of genius was the same. In front of his berserk god system, even an extreme genius would have to kneel down and sing a song of conquest. Genius? Pooey. The two disciples became slightly angry and said, "You little rascal, you must be cheating." Long Fei became angry as well and said, "Since you claim that I'm cheating, then please take out the evidence. If you cannot take out the evidence, then don't **T around here." "Kid, who did you say was farting?" The disciple standing up glared at Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest. He stared straight back and said in a daze, "I'm talking about you. What's wrong? What's going on? Why are they arguing? It must be because that kid hasn't met the requirements to take the test. Trash is trash. You actually have the nerve to come to participate in the assessment." He's not ashamed of himself either. The crowd began to discuss this. Xiao Dai received the identity token and looked at Long Fei and the test disciple, who were arguing as he anxiously ran up. Without caring about anything else, he directly stood in front of Long Fei and stared at the two disciples as he shouted, "What do you guys want to do?" The disciple immediately said, "He cheated." Long Fei said, "Bullshit." The disciple angrily said, "Kid, who did you say?" Long Fei said, "I'm talking about you. How can I?" "How?" "You don't have the qualifications to take the examination." The disciple taking the test immediately bellowed with arrogance. He wielded the power to kill and looked at Long Fei with contempt and said, "What can you do now?" Long Fei sneered, "You don't have that right." Xiao Dai still had not figured out the reason for the matter. However, when she saw the 6 sections of light on the black stone, it meant that it was a 6th-grade refining body. Long Fei's cultivation was at the 6th-grade refining body. Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei, his heart trembling. He at the same time shouted, "A Long is right. You do not have the rights. Call your law enforcement hall's elders over." All of a sudden, it was very noisy. Quite a few people were looking in their direction. 7th Prince Zhao Yiqian also looked over. Seeing Xiao Dai protecting Long Fei, he sneered and said, "Who is that kid?" "Your Highness, that person was an orphan that Gui Qingshan picked up from the outside. It seems that he was also here to participate in the examination." "Gui Qingshan retrieved it." The 7th Prince disdainfully said, "Let him participate in the assessment." Guanzhen was startled. 7th Prince's eyes slightly widened. Guanzhen immediately replied, "Yes." And then, quickly running up, the two disciples saw the head elder of the law enforcement hall and immediately complained, "Head elder, he cheated." Guanzhen looked at the result on the black stone, and his heart trembled. He thought to himself, 6th-grade refining body? He earnestly sized up Long Fei. He had a silly look on his face. He broke through so fast in just a few days. Guanzhen himself didn't believe it either, but he was too lazy to care about that. He shouted out, he meets the conditions for the assessment and allows him to participate. The two test disciples were stunned, but before they could say anything, they were stared back at by Guanzhen. Long Fei laughed. "Did you see that? I say you have no rights." The two disciples were in a bad mood. They linked Long Fei's name together. "A Long, pass, next." Xiao Dai giggled and said, "To think that my father's relationship would be so close, Hee hee. Guan Zhen personally went in. Xiao Dai believed that it was because of Gui Qingshan's secret communication skill. He looked at Guan Zhen and said, "Thank you, Uncle Guan." After that, she dragged Long Fei to get her identity card. He looked very happy. Long Fei smiled, but did not explain anything. As long as Xiao Dai was happy, it was fine. As for whether or not Gui Qingshan made things clear, it was no longer important. Along. Don't worry, I will protect you. I'm already a 5th grade refining body now, so you definitely won't be a problem. Hee hee. I didn't expect that my father would be so powerful. He actually had the head elder of the law enforcement hall personally come out to let you pass. As long as you can participate in the assessment, you don't have to worry. Big Sis is here to take care of everything. Xiao Dai patted Long Fei's shoulders, looking like a big sister. She started to worry that Long Fei would not be able to pass the selection conditions, but who would have thought that Guan Zhen would immediately pass? Then the next assessment would not be a problem. Long Fei received the identity token and laughed foolishly. "Sis, then you have to protect me." "Don't worry," Xiao Dai said proudly. Guan Zhen walked back to the 7th prince's side and said, "It's done." However, the cultivation level shown on the black stone is 6th grade refining body. Without waiting for Guan Zhen to finish speaking, Zhao Yiqian said disdainfully, "Is 6th grade refining body very strong? In front of me, who is at the 8th grade refining body, you are just trash." Humph! Zhao Yiqian looked at Xiao Dai in the distance and was as joyous as a little butterfly as he sneered sinisterly, "I will slowly play and play you to death." Guan Zhen did not speak further. Indeed, 7th Prince's body refining 8th level was the strongest existence amongst this year's exam candidates. In addition, he had the qi of the Emperor of Zhao on him. His strength was comparable to the escalated blood stage, and the 6th grade refining body was indeed not much. Not long later, the cultivation test ended. More than 7,000 disciples had met the requirements. Guan Zhen said, "Your Highness, the assessment is coming up soon. Is there anything else?" Zhao Yiqian thought for a moment, then said to Miao Chong, who was beside him, "Uncle Miao, you don't need to worry about the assessment." Miao Chong did not speak any further, and coldly replied, "Yes." Then his figure flashed and disappeared. Chapter 2230, Hunting Assessment. Chapter 2230, Hunting Assessment. Now, I announce the start of the examination. According to the classification you choose, the assessment will be carried out. Guan Zhen walked up, and her voice dropped, covering the entire training grounds. More than 7,000 disciples were divided into several categories: alchemy assessment, the artifact forging exam, the test of inscriptions. Then there was the martial hall assessment. Xian Yu sect was a middle-tier sect, and there were not many branch halls. In other words, alchemy, artifact forging, and array forging were the 4 parts of the martial hall. Gui Qingshan had applied to the Beast Control Hall in the past. However, after so many years, he still hadn't recruited a single disciple. Alchemy refining required a strong innate ability to support it. Cultivating beast taming was even more necessary. Usually, only large sects would have such a place like this. Some of Xian Yu sect's mounts were bought from the outside. Although these supporting jobs required a strong inherent skill, once they succeeded, they would receive more resources than the disciples of the martial hall. It would be better to be like the disciple of Powder Pavilion. Their cultivation were the same, but they were superior because they were people of the disciple of Powder Pavilion, people who were highly likely to become alchemy masters. More than half of the 7,000 disciples chose alchemy, artifact forging, or formation, while the other half chose to enter the martial hall to take the examination. The martial hall was the martial arts training. Most of them were disciples of the martial hall. "Sis, what are we going to participate in?" Long Fei asked, but he didn't care about it. Whether it was artifact, forging, alchemy, or formation, anyway, not even he. Last time when he refined the detoxification panacea, he had a flash of inspiration. There was no alchemy technique in his cultivation technique column. Xiao Dai said, "Martial hall assessment. When we enter the martial hall and earn enough points, we will apply for a division. I want to start Father's beast control hall anew. This is my father's long-cherished wish." Xiao Dai's eyes were filled with passion. "Oh," Long Fei replied and muttered, "can I control beasts?" The disciples separated. The Zhou family members also entered the martial hall. Zhao Yiqian watched as Xiao Dai entered the martial hall to take the examination. He also chose the martial hall. An elder of the martial hall walked up and said, "Cultivation is about strength, the strength of the body. To you Muggle people of the refinement realm, the easiest and most effective test is to kill demon beast. Within a day, whoever kills more demon beast will get the qualification to enter the martial hall. Remember, our martial hall doesn't want trash. We will only take the top 1,000. Hunting grounds, Xianbei Mountain. Go." After a few simple sentences, several disciples of the martial hall came out and said, "Follow me." Xiao Dai said, "Along, in a while, we will find a few more people to work with. Hunting demon beast is not a joke. You must definitely be by my side. Do you remember? You're the one with the escalate body 2-stage cultivation. You can't take a single attack from the demon beast." Xiao Dai warned once again. Long Fei nodded his head and said, "I will remember, sis. I will follow you closely." Could not withstand the first attack from the demon beast. Last night, Long Fei washed the Wild Boar Valley in blood. Even the Bulldrome was defeated by him. At that time, his cultivation was only at the 3rd grade of refining body. Now, he was at the 6th grade of refining body. However, Long Fei was secretly delighted in his heart. "I like killing demon beast. Looks like I'll be able to upgrade another wave. Ha ha ha. Your Highness, I have already prepared him for you." Zhao Yiqian nodded his head. "All right, then let them prepare to go. There is no need for too much of it. Just kill 1,000 demon beast." "Yes, sir." The disciple hugged his hands, then lowered his voice and said, "Your Highness, in addition, we specially prepared a 4-rating monster and beasts." Zhao Yiqian grinned, glanced at him, and said in satisfaction, "Not bad. You have a bright future." The 4-rating monster and beasts. This was no ordinary demon beast. Even a peak realm warrior would not be a match. Moreover, there were no 4-rating monster and beasts in the Xianbei Mountain. Just this 4-rating monster and beasts alone was more than enough to take first place. Selection assessment. Zhao Yiqian only wanted to say one word. Hee hee. His goal was simple. Xiao Dai. As for the assessment, he didn't need to do it himself. Everything was prepared for him. For people with status like his, forget about Xianyu Sect S. Even the largest sect of Infinitas S in Zhaogua's territory. As long as he said a word, he could immediately become an inner sect disciple. What did the Xianyu sect count for? Zhao Yiqian said. Also, send someone to keep an eye on that little beauty. I want to start a meat fight today. Ha ha. Yes, sir. In another place, the elite warrior S of the Zhou family. Xianbei Mountain is also a part of the Xianyu sect. Don't let go of any place. Search carefully for me. Yes, sir. Big brother, it's just that. What exactly are we looking for? Everyone looked at Zhou Fong. Indeed, They had no idea what they were looking for. The reason they had come to the Xianyu sect was to receive General Zhou Yaozong's direct order. Zhou Feng frowned. He shook his head and said, "The higher-ups did not specify. They just wanted us to carefully search the Xianyu sect and not let any suspicious areas slip by, also telling us to enter the Xianyu sect to earn 10,000 sect points and to apply for the establishment of a branch hall. This is the general's direct order. It must be done." All of the Zhou family disciples answered in unison, "Yes." Beneath the Xianbei mountain, please form a team. Level 1 Monster S are comparable to 5th grade refining body realm cultivators. We will all form a group and split the amount of demon beast killed evenly. Everyone will enter the Xianyu sect together. We need one more here. This is the body refining 4th grade elite team. Come quickly. Add me. Bro, your cultivation isn't good enough. Why don't you find another team? Long Fei looked at it. The entire scene looked like he was playing a game. This kind of scene made him feel a sense of familiarity. I miss it so much. Game. Life. I didn't even dare to think about it in the past, but now I'm in the game. This feeling feels so good. Long Fei sighed in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Dai brought back 5 people and said, "Our team is up, ready to go." Big guy, the skinny monkey won, and a couple. These 4 were all 3rd grade refining body martial artists. The other young man was dressed extravagantly and had a magic weapon treasure sword hanging from his waist. Looking at Long Fei's eyes, he revealed a look of despise. "And him?" Xiao Dai said, "Yes, the 7 of us will form a group." The youth revealed a displeased expression and said, "You didn't clearly explain his cultivation just now. Everyone knows that he only has the qualifications to participate in the assessment after passing the back door. I'm afraid his cultivation is at most at Escalate Body 2 Stage S, right?" Xiao Dai said, "He is Escalate Body 2 Stage. I am a 5th grade refining body martial artist. If I bring him along, all demon beasts are equal." The youth smiled and said, "You can take him with you, but my cultivation is at the 4th grade refining body realm. I can't take the same amount of points. This kind of team is facing a burden. They will absolutely not pass the exam." Xiao Dai said, "Then what do you want to do?" The youth said, "It's very simple. Either he cannot have a single demon beast, or I will calculate by myself, or I will withdraw." Long Fei was dissatisfied. "Hurry up and F***CK off. We're leaving." Chapter 2231, Captain Shirtong. Chapter 2231. Captain Shirtong, no matter if it was his previous life playing games or now, the thing Long Fei hated the most was team tyrants. "You look like your father's level is the highest, and your father is the highest." Long Fei was extremely disdainful. Just like this, he could fight against 10 people, and only with one hand. The youth looked at Long Fei with a sneer. He didn't bother to care about him and turned to leave. Xiao Dai immediately said, "Wait." The corners of the youth's mouth curled into a complacent smile. Xiao Dai looked at the other 4. The 4 of them did not speak. They were body refining 3rd level. Simply put, they didn't have the right to speak. Xiao Dai said, "All right, I'll let you calculate according to 2 people." She needed the strength of a youth. A cultivation at the 4th grade refining body could allow them to respond well to the attacks of demon beast. Long Fei's cultivation was at the 2nd stage, and the other 4 people were at the 3rd stage. If she brought them all along, they would not be able to pass the examination. Then again, Long Fei did not know that for these people, Xiao Dai had requested for a lot of people, but none of them were willing to join her team. The reason was also because of Long Fei. How high could a person who couldn't even meet the basic examination requirements rely on the back door to enter. It was obviously very weak. How could such a burden be able to pass the examination? There was no other way. Xiao Dai could only compromise. The young man said proudly, "That's more like it, but he talked back to me just now, so I'm going to add another one." Xiao Dai raised his eyes, his expression somewhat unhappy, and asked, "What else?" The youth said, "I want to be the captain. I want everything to be under my command." Xiao Dai exhaled, looked at Long Fei, and said, "All right, ha ha ha." The youth laughed complacently and said, "Let's hear it from the captain." He was overjoyed. Long Fei was very unhappy. Xiao Dai held back and said lightly, "Captain." The youth said, "The volume is too low, and why didn't you scream? Do you still want to pass the examination and become a disciple of the Xianyu sect?" Xiao Dai shouted, "Captain." The other four also shouted loudly, "Captain." The youth laughed. "Ha ha ha. My name is Shirtong. In the future you will call me Captain Shir." Shirtong coldly glanced at Long Fei and said, "Brat, did you hear me clearly?" "Shirtong?" Long Fei almost burst out laughing. "Why aren't you called Ma Tong?" Shirtong stared at him and bellowed, "What did you say?" Long Fei said, "Bullshit, Captain. I didn't say anything." Shirtong disdainfully said, "Listen to my orders and enter the Xianbei Mountain." The 7 of them entered the Xianbei Mountain's hunting grounds. The hunting grounds of the Xianbei Mountain were around 100 kilometers and were the only path to the Xianbei Mountain Veins, which was connected to the Xianbei Mountain Veins with a large amount of demon beasts active all year round. Most of them were level 1 or level 2 demon beast. The 3-rate monster and beast S were basically nowhere to be seen, let alone the 4th level or 5-level monster S. However, there was no absolute. After all, the link here was for the Xianbei Mountain Meridian. In Zhaogua, the Xianbei Mountain Veins was also one of the 3 great dangerous mountain ranges, and demon beast ran rampant. Many of the examinees stepped into the Xianbei Mountain one after another. A Grand Elder, the 7th Prince, and the others have entered. Yi Changfeng nodded his head and said, "I understand. Where are the people I sent to protect?" "They are 2 elders. Their cultivation are at the 8th grade of the blood refinement realm. They should be able to ensure his safety." Yi Changfeng nodded his head again and said, "All right, I got it. You can go now." "Yes, sir." Yu Wanshan was a little displeased and said, "Senior Brother Yin, why did you send someone to protect him?" And Wu Yi frowned and said faintly, "Give old man Gui's precious daughter to him. I'm afraid that if his hair gets on fire, after all, his relationship with Sect Master is not ordinary." Yi Changfeng laughed faintly. "I haven't arranged anything." "Even if I arranged it, what can Gui Qingshan do? So what if he has a good relationship with the Grand Master? Even though this is the Xianyu sect, but this is Zhao Guo's territory. And also," Yi Changfeng looked in the direction of the desolate hillside and muttered, "After today, Gui Qingshan will not be a part of the Xianyu sect anymore." He knew the reason behind Miao Chang's departure. How could he let Gui Qingshan go so easily when a guy like the 7th Prince was so vindictive? Impossible. Last time, he was ranked 7th on the elixir ranking, but this time he was ranked 3rd, Miao Chong. No matter how powerful Gui Qingshan was, he would not be able to escape this calamity. And it was the same for Gui Qingshan's daughter. Fighting with anyone is fine, but don't fight with the heavens. Here, in Zhao Guo's territory, the Zhao dynasty was the sky, Zhenwu continent, a small plane within the universal large world. Zhao Chongshan was the ruler of 9 or 5 years. At the same time, when he became the ruler of the world, he was also an outer disciple of the gods' tribe. He was patrolling the Jun Wu continent for him. A roar. A 3-meter long fire lizard rushed forward. Everywhere they passed, the grass and trees would quickly burn and wither. Waving his long flaming tongue, he rapidly charged towards Long Fei's group. Shirtong retreated back and anxiously shouted, "Xiao Dai, quickly go up, quickly go up, quickly stop him." Without waiting for Shirtong's command, she had already rushed forward. When the other 4 saw Shirtong retreating, they were also scared and quickly retreated with a pale face, leaving only Xiao Dai to fight him alone. The fire lizard was just a level 1 monster. His only attack was the flames on his body. This kind of demon beast belongs to the very low-level demon beast, and their intelligence is basically 0. But just this one demon beast caused all 5 of them to stagger backwards. Was this a team? 5 minutes later. Huff! Xiao Dai gasped heavily. His body had been burnt in a few places, but he managed to kill the fire lizard. Shirtong laughed mischievously as he strode forward and said, "Xiao Dai, not bad." Finished, he walked up to the lizard's corpse and chopped off its head with a sword. He placed it among his own space ring and said with a smile, "Let's go find the next one." Long Fei saw the burn wounds on Xiao Dai's body, felt pain in his heart, and shouted angrily, "This is a team? This is dog shit." Shirtong's eyes widened. He turned and stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, what the F*** are you saying?" Long Fei said, "You are just a pile of dog shit." Shirtong was enraged. He walked to Long Fei and shouted, "If you have the guts, say it again." Xiao Dai immediately pulled Long Fei back, shook his head, and indicated for him not to be impulsive. Long Fei did not care about others. But Xiao Dai was injured, but he could not. Not to mention, one team was taking down the other team members, while the rest were just watching from the sidelines. What kind of team was this? Watching a team play, Long Fei stared fiercely at Shirtong, raised his finger, and pointed at Shirtong's nose, enunciating word by word, "You are just a pile of dog poop." The corner of Shirtong's eyes twitched, and he said angrily, "Trash, I think you're tired of living." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei's right hand turned into a palm, and without giving Shirtong time to react, he fiercely slapped it down. "Thank you for your support." Chapter 2232, Lousy Can't Kill You. Chapter 2232, Lousy Can't Kill You. Yi Zichen slapped him hard. Fast hands, fast movements. Shirtong's reaction was not slow either. He had originally wanted to teach Long Fei a lesson, but he did not expect Long Fei to make the first move. However, what level of cultivation was he at? 4th grade refining body. What cultivation did Long Fei have? 6th grade refining body. Even if he reacted in time and blocked the attack, the difference in levels was obvious. Pa! A resounding slap connected with his face, causing Shirtong's eyes to flash with stars. He staggered back, unable to find his way to the north. It took a few wobbles before it came to a stop. The surrounding 5 people were stunned, especially Xiao Dai. The force of Long Fei's palm strike earlier was extremely strong. Even she might not be able to withstand it. The big guy was stunned. So strong. Thin Monkey rolled his eyes. He originally wanted to go and help Shirtong up, but in the end, he endured it. The couple also stared at Long Fei without blinking, as if they were looking at a monster. All of them were stunned by Long Fei's palm. Shirtong shook his head, waking up from his stupor. However, his ears were still buzzing, as if there was a bee crying nonstop in his ears. Very angry. Anger welled up. At this moment, Shirtong took out his great sword and pointed it at Long Fei, then said fiercely, "You dare hit me? I'll kill you." He was extremely angry. Long Fei's lips curled up, and said in an extremely disdainful manner, "Kill me? With just you?" Sher Tong's eyes turned sinister, his feet moved like the wind, and he formed a sword to attack Long Fei. Sword skill. The footwork is also a martial skill. Xiao Dai's reaction was extremely fast. He quickly rushed in front of Long Fei, blocked Sher Tong, and said, "Captain, don't be angry." Xiao Dai stood in the middle. Her cultivation was above Sher Tong's, and she had just killed a fire lizard by herself, so Sher Tong was still a little afraid of her. However, since he had to take back his pride, Sher Tong shouted, "Get out of my way! I will definitely teach this brat a lesson today. You dared to sneak attack me just now? If it wasn't for the sneak attack, how could you have hit me?" As he said it, only then did the surrounding people react. That's right, it was that brat who sneaked an attack just now. Otherwise, how could an escalate body two-stage person like him be able to beat the captain up? "Brat, you're a bit too insidious, aren't you?" "Exactly. Captain, what are you planning to do?" Monkey said in a fawning manner. Xiao Dai turned towards Long Fei and said, "Along, admit your mistake." Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "A sneak attack? Do you want to try again?" Sher Tong's eyes became angry and said angrily, "Do you think I would be afraid of you?" Long Fei said, "Then come." Ambush? What a joke. Was a fourth-grade refining body worth his sneak attack? Sher Tong could not even react to the slap earlier. If it was a sneak attack, he would not even have the chance to react. Xiao Dai bellowed, "Along, shut your mouth." Long Fei looked at Xiao Dai, grinned, and looked to the other side. And then Xiao Dai said, "Captain, don't lower yourself to the same level as Along. He ambushed you just now. I wanted to make you apologize. You should forgive him." Sher Tong laughed coldly and said, "I only stayed because you gave me face." Long Fei gave a similar cold laugh and said, "You must have stayed behind because of the demon beast, right?" Sher Tong glared and said, "Brat, what did you say?" Xiao Dai also chided him. "Along, say less." "Captain, don't be angry." Sher Tong said, "I can forgive you for ambushing me, but his words just now made me extremely unhappy. I want to leave the group." Monkey saw the wind was blowing and immediately said, "I will also leave the team." The girl from the couple also said, "We will also leave the team." Everyone looked at the big guy, who did not express his stance. He scratched his head and said, Me, I'll stay behind. Anyway, there's no team for me." Long Fei glanced at him, confused and silly, looking at the big-size man. An image flashed in his mind every now and then. He was bald, had an extremely sturdy build, and all the muscles in his body seemed to have exploded. Who is this person? Isn't it too strange? Carrying a huge coffin. Do I know him? Why would there be such a scene in my mind? Long Fei said to himself. He was puzzled. There was no such person in his memories of Earth. Xiao Dai continued to speak. "Don't. We are a team. Our goal is to enter Xianyu sect together. At this point in time, if the team is split, it will not be beneficial to anyone. All of you should stay. Captain, stay. I promise you that Along will not cause any more trouble for you." Indeed, now that they were already in Xianbei Mountain, if the team split up, no one would benefit. Sher Tong was very clear about it in his heart as well. He was also acting. Sher Tong sheathed his sword. "I can still stay with the team, but he must leave, and the team will not raise trash." Long Face stared coldly at Sher Tong and said coldly, "Try saying trash again if you dare." His eyes were cold. When their four eyes met, Sher Tong's heart suddenly felt a chill. Sher Tong grinned and said, "If he doesn't leave, I'll leave. You choose." After saying that, he crossed his arms across his chest with an ice-cold expression. Xiao Dai locked the space between his brows. Long Fei said, "Sis, the two of us are enough." Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei. In her opinion, Long Fei was too naive. This was the Xianbei Mountain where the demon beast ran rampant. If they did not form a team, not to mention passing the assessment, even surviving would be a problem. Moreover, she had promised Long Fei that she would definitely take him to the Xianyu sect. This way, no one would have any reason to chase him away. Humph! Xiao Dai looked at Shirtong and said, "Captain, how about this? I'll count to half ahead, and the other half to you." Shirtong's eyes flashed with a gold light. Long Fei was startled and said, "Sis, why are you doing this?" Shirtong smiled slightly. "You said it yourself." Xiao Dai said, "I said it." Thin Monkey could not help but say, "If we are going to cut heads, we will cut heads." The couple said, "Exactly." Xiao Dai said, "I will reduce it. As usual, along will be divided up like before." Shirtong was secretly pleased in his heart. This was the result he wanted, and said indifferently, "Since you say so, then it's decided, but I also have one condition. We cannot raise people for free. Everyone on our team must listen to my orders. Everyone here will be under my command." While they were talking, Shirtong stared at Long Fei. A slap? How could he not take revenge? He definitely would not easily avoid Long Fei. Xiao Dai said, "All right," Shirtong said, "since you agree, then I will begin to give out orders. Along, you go lure the demon beast. We will lay in ambush. This way, killing the demon beast will be much easier." Finished. A faint sneer hung on Shirtong's face. "Hit me? I can't kill you." Chapter 22:33. Wolves. Chapter 22:33. Wolves, no way. Right after he finished, Xiao Dai immediately objected. Along's cultivation is too low. It's not suitable for him to lure the demon beast. The big guy scratched his head and said, "Let me do it." Shirtong's eyes stared and said, "Are you the captain, or am I the captain?" "I just said, we don't raise useless people if he wants to obtain the demon beast. He must listen to my orders." Shirtong insisted. He wanted Long Fei to die. It was that simple. Escalate body to stage to lure the demon beast. This was no different from courting death. Long Fei said indifferently, "I'll go." Shirtong immediately laughed. "That's right, we must obey the order." He laughed complacently. Shirtong secretly thought, "Let's go and have lunch for the demon beast." Ha ha. Xiao Dai pulled Long Fei and shook his head. Long Fei smiled lightly. "Sis, I will be fine, don't worry." Attracting monsters? Forget about level 1 monster. Even if it was a divine level boss, Long Fei was fully confident. In the game, this was an extremely common tactic. However, Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that Shirtong was dealing with him. They wanted him to die. Long Fei said, "Bucket of shit, Captain, how many demon beasts should I lure?" "How many? With just you?" Thin Monkey laughed coldly in disdain. Shirtong said with a serious face, "You can attract as many people as you want, the more the better. Of course, we are on the same team. You should take note of your safety." He laughed in his heart. "What a fool, trying to attract a few demon beasts. Don't you think that you died too quickly?" "Ha ha." Long Fei replied seriously, "Yes." Finished. Long Fei strode into the forest. A minute passed. 10 minutes passed. After half an hour, Long Fei still did not return. A cold smile hung on Shirtong's lips. Thin Monkey said, "Seems like I won't be able to return." Xiao Dai could not sit still any longer. "I'll go find him." Shirtong immediately said, "No." Xiao Dai said, "It's been so long and I still haven't returned. I'm worried that something might have happened to Along." After Long Fei left, she started feeling uneasy. How could an escalate body to stage person lure demon beast? She was extremely regretful, so she shouldn't have let Long Fei lure the monster over. Shirtong said, "I don't know where he is, but I do not allow you to find him. This is an order." Xiao Dai suddenly stood up and said, "I still want to go look for him." Shirtong's eyes turned sinister, and he said coldly, "Are you thinking of rebelling?" Thin Monkey also immediately stood up and reminded him in a low voice, "Captain, her cultivation is at the 5th grade refining body." Shirtong was not afraid, and said, "So what if you're a 5th grade refining body martial artist? Am I to be afraid of her? No matter how strong a 5th grade refining body is she stronger than the 7th prince, who's at the 8th grade refining body?" Xiao Dai's expression changed slightly. "You are from the 7th prince." A smile emerged on Shirtong's face. At this moment, the huge bloke suddenly shouted, "There's movement ahead!" Everyone was shocked and quickly squatted down. Boom, boom, boom. His footsteps were so loud that the entire ground was shaking. Trees were constantly being broken and falling, leaving a mess in front of them. "What's going on?" Shirtong frowned. The big-sized guy at the front shook his head and said, "Me doesn't know, but it seems like there are a lot of demon beasts. I don't know if it was brought over by Big Brother along or not." The Thin Monkey said with disdain, "He has been feeding the demon beast for a long time. Why would he attract the demon beast? If these demon beasts were drawn here by him, I'll eat them all myself." At this moment, in the dense forest, a figure flashed out. "Long Fei!" Long Fei shouted loudly. "Everyone get ready. The demon beast is here." The big-sized man was startled. "Big Brother along, you're still alive." Shirtong's face darkened. They really did attract a demon beast. Thin Monkey's face turned ugly. The couple beside him joked, "Monkey, aren't you going to eat the demon beast all by yourself? Hurry up and go. We don't have to do anything." Shirtong stood up and said, "What are you cooking, attracting a demon beast after such a long time?" Long Fei asked, "One." Turning his head to look, it was indeed only a wolf-shaped demon beast that rushed out first. Long Fei grinned and said, "There's still more." Just as he finished, roar, roar, roar. One demonic wolf after another rushed out of the dense forest and shot out like arrows. In less than half a minute, there were more than 20 demonic wolves in the surrounding area. Shirtong's face turned pale. He stared at Long Fei and scolded, "Are you King crazy? Who asked you to attract so many demon beasts?" What was he trying to do? They were going to get wiped out. Long Fei grinned and said, "Didn't you say the more the better? So I lured them over, and I still think it's a bit too little. Why don't you guys wait a bit longer, and I'll go and lure more people over." Shirtong's eyes rolled back. He almost fainted from anger. Never would he have thought that Long Fei would attract so many demon beasts. Moreover, these demon beasts were all of the same species. Wolf clan. There were more than 20 of them. It could be said that they were a small pack of wolves. His battle prowess was extremely strong. How could the 7 of them be a match for such a pack of wolves? Even if there were 70 of them, they would still not be a match. Shirtong immediately said, "Xiao Dai, you big brute, you all go now, quickly, quickly, quickly." While they were talking, yet he himself kept retreating. After taking a few steps back, he turned around and ran. Long Fei's eyes moved, and he said, "Want to run?" His speed suddenly increased. He quickly chased up to Shirtong and blocked his path, and said, "Bullshit, where are you going?" "You are the captain. How can you run?" Without a second word, Shirtong pulled out his sword and shouted coldly, "You dog, get lost." If he didn't run now, he wouldn't be able to run anymore. More than 20 demon wolves couldn't be dealt with at all. Long Fei gave a cold laugh and said, "You'd better go back and fight against the demon wolves." Shirtong's eyes turned sinister as he said, "You're courting death." He suddenly struck out with his sword. It was a first-rank magic weapon treasure sword strike aimed at the center of Long Fei's brows. Shirtong's eyes were filled with killing intent as he coldly said, "Anyways, the 7th prince doesn't want you to live. Just die." "7th prince? Zhao, Yi Qian. Hearing that name, Long Fei's eyes turned cold. In that instant, with a slight movement of the sky sword, Long Fei's figure blurred as he charged forward. Shua! A hole appeared between Shi Tong's eyebrows. The gash on his head instantly revealed the bottom of his head. Ding! The system beeped a few times. It was also at this time Xiao Dai and the big-sized man ran over to Long Fei's side. Seeing Shi Tong's corpse on the ground, Xiao Dai was surprised and asked, "Along, why did you kill him?" Thin Monkey's face changed. The couple had the same expression. Although they did not hear clearly what Shi Tong and Long Fei had to say, they saw that Long Fei had killed Shi Tong in one move. Thin Monkey immediately kicked Shi Tong's corpse and spat on it. "Ha! It's best if he dies." Long Fei's gaze swept across them and coldly said, "If anyone dares to speak of it to others, hee." His eyes were filled with killing intent, and his aura was cold and sinister. Other than Xiao Dai, everyone else could not help but shiver. Big Guy said, "Brother Along, what do we do? The wolves have surrounded us." You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.